I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the School District of Waukesha regular Board of Education meeting. It is May 12th, 2021. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So will you please take the roll call?
William Baumgart.
Here.
Corey Montiel.
Here.
Greg Dietz.
Here.
Amanda Roddy.
Here.
Corey, I'm sorry. I have the wrong sheet here. Kelly Piasek. Patrick McCaffrey.
Here.
Karen Reinacek. Amanda Roddy. I said that.
Here.
Anthony Zenobia.
Here.
And Joseph Como.
Here.
Wrong sheet.
And Sue, have we been properly posted?
Yes, we have.
Okay, thank you. We do have, Bright Lights was canceled tonight.
Correct.
We're going to move on to our recognitions. Assistant Superintendent Sharon Thiede.
I've got a couple. They're in the hallways.
All right. If you guys could clear a pathway, we need to bring some people in for this recognition, please. Appreciate that. Go ahead, Sharon.
Okay, am I on, Benjamin? Thank you. All right.
And just so you know, for people who are speaking at the podium and for us board members, get your microphones close. We want to be able to hear everyone and hear everything that everyone has to say tonight. So Ben's going to raise his hand in the background if we can't hear you. He'll try and indicate to me, and just speak loudly and directly into the mics, please.
Okay, well, good evening, everyone. I'm actually going to start out this evening introducing two of the administrators that we approved contracts for at last month's meeting. So I'm going to start with Dan Schreier, who is a familiar face. So Dan, kind of come on over here. So I want to introduce Dan Schreier. He was a teacher at South High School who now will be in the position of the athletic director and assistant principal at South High School. So I know a lot of you have seen him, but again, just putting a name with a face. So I wanted to welcome Dan. And then next I have Ms. Amanda Mack. So Amanda, there you are. Okay, so Amanda Mack, this is a new face to the district, and again, last month you heard all about her talents, background, and strengths. So again, I wanted to put a name with a face for Amanda Mack. She'll be serving as the Director of Elementary Special Education. She'll be replacing Karen Peterson, who is retiring. So welcome to Amanda.
Well, just so you guys know, you must be pretty popular. You got a pretty good turnout for your welcoming.
I really wanted to welcome them. Okay, and then next I will be doing the employee recognition, which they're behind me. Okay, so I would like to give the employee recognition award for May of 2021 to Heather McCollum. So Heather started in the School District of Waukesha in 2019 as a school psychologist at Lowell Elementary. Her nominators begin by saying that Heather always goes above and beyond to support students and staff. She frequently checks in with staff and students just to make sure they are staying emotionally healthy. Her calming presence, wide knowledge of resources, strategies, and positive affect are just a few of the things that make working with her such a privilege. This year, many students have needed extra support because of all the demands that the pandemic has placed on them, and Heather never fails to provide it to them. Heather always has equity and social justice on her mind with working with any and all students, and always puts those values first. She uses data and a systematic approach, making sure all needs are being addressed in a timely fashion. In addition, she goes out of her way to ensure students who are in the most need receive the supports and services that will ensure that they are successful academically and in the area of social and emotional health. She clearly has a passion for equity and serving the entire Lowell community. Heather's focus on social emotional learning has spread throughout Lowell Elementary School. She has led professional development and meets with students and grade level teams regularly. She records data on student behaviors and has found that behavioral referrals have decreased when receiving additional social and emotional support. Heather is working with multiple small groups of students this year, and her consistent implementation of programs like Strong Kids have led to a reduction in the amount of behavior referrals at Lowell. We have also seen the students working with Heather more consistently be able to use self-regulation strategies when they are starting to feel themselves getting upset. Heather's consistent work with one student in particular has caused that student to be able to take information much more effectively because he's able to regulate his emotions, which has led him to make significant growth in reading in just a few months from a level 7 to a level 17. Another student who she's working with has been able to talk about and process some really serious trauma in a way that she was never able to earlier in the year, and it's led to less serious escalations for this student as well, working with Heather. Additionally, whenever staff members need someone to bounce problem-solving ideas off of, Heather takes the time to listen and offer advice. Heather is mastering the ultimate balancing act of being a school psychologist during a pandemic, being a member of the SAIL leadership team, and being a mom herself, all while creating a positive atmosphere for all those students at Lowell. So Heather, I know hearing all this is so emotional. On behalf of the School District of Waukesha, I'd love to congratulate you on being selected to receive the Employee Recognition Award.
Go ahead.
Wow.
I think the audience is here for you too, Heather. Yes.
Oh my goodness, that was the first time I heard that, and I didn't know how I would react, and so just thank you. Good evening, everybody. I am overwhelmed with gratitude and honored to have been selected to receive SDW's Employee of the Month Award. Thank you to Lori Pogrzelski, our principal at Lowell, for accompanying me tonight to share in this special occasion. A very, very special thank you to my Lowell colleagues who took the time to recognize the work that I'm so passionate about through this nomination. I'm extremely fortunate to work with some of the most compassionate and supportive humans I know. You have gone above and beyond to transform classrooms, both virtually and in person, into safe spaces that foster emotional well-being, connectedness, and a sense of belonging in a year unlike any other. Students can have a sense of calm. You are true, real-life superheroes. To my Lowell Leopard students and their families, you inspire me each and every day to give my best. We are truly stronger together. As a school psychologist, I find it especially fitting to be presented with this award during the month of May, as it's Mental Health Awareness Month. And I would like to accept this award on behalf of all of SDW's most incredible student services colleagues. So I want to shout out to my fellow school psychologists, school counselors, and social workers who are supporting and advocating for SDW students and families through delivering mental and behavioral supports and services in schools to ensure students have the support they need. I'm so grateful to work with some of the best at Lowell, Andrew Peering, Heidi Edwards, and Kelly Ohm. We school psychologists have special training in child development, mental health, learning, diversity, culturally responsive services, and school systems and law. Improving staffing ratios for our student services is critical to adequately supporting students' mental health.
To all those present or watching from home tonight, I see you. You are not alone. You matter. You shine brightly when you are being your authentic self. I want to leave you with this. I challenge you to share the gift of gratitude with someone who has made your world a little brighter. I'll go first. To my husband, Brandon, my son, Noah, and our families, thank you. Thank you for always being in my corner and loving me unconditionally. I love you unconditionally. Thank you.
Thank you to Heather and all that she does every day for all of our children. We're going to move on to our student representative report given tonight. Our eAchieve representatives, Catherine and Heather, are here. They are joining us virtually. Welcome back. And I'm not sure if you can, Benjamin, I don't know if you can get the WebEx online or not, or is it just can only be presented there? Oh, you got it. Okay. I didn't see it switch over. Thank you. Welcome. Welcome, Jason, Mr. Smith.
Good evening.
Do you have an introduction to make? I kind of started to, but you might have more, a better one.
Kat Zimmerman and Heather Wanger are here tonight to follow up from their previous student presentation as representatives of the board. So I'm going to turn it over to both of them. Heather, would you like to start things off for us?
Sure. So, Kat and I are both seniors this year, and I don't know, it's been a crazy year. The theme for teachers and staff has been leading with compassion. And especially in the past 2 weeks or so, I've had some unexpected health difficulties, and I've really felt that. Beyond just learning because it's something in a textbook or on the curriculum, my teachers have really been able to adapt to what I need right now, but still ensure that I am learning something, and it's not taking priority over my own well-being.
Thanks, Heather. Kat, your turn.
When I first started at eAchieve, I didn't expect to have any friends or to be a great student or even be a president of a club, but I am. I have grown so much in my writing that I was a winner of a statewide scholarship in April, and I never would have even applied to this scholarship if it wasn't for this school, and let alone win. And even though I'm doing well academically, I start to lose my motivation to get my schoolwork done about this time in the semester, but that's probably because I'm ready for summer vacation. But the teachers keep on encouraging us to finish strong and get to the end of the semester. I want to mention that in National Honor Society, we met early in the year and we decided to make tie blankets to donate to animal shelters or to the organization Linus Project. We made a requirement that each of us would make at least 2 blankets, but some of us made more. I myself made 7 different blankets. Most of the members participated in this, and we enjoyed making the blankets and sharing them with many people and animals around the state. I enjoyed working with and getting to know many of my fellow NHS members through Zoom meetings. As I prepare for college this fall, I am so glad I am familiar with online school, and I will be taking 2 classes online and 3 in person at the campus as of now. And I plan to work a part-time job as well as continuing to volunteer with Sierra Club Wisconsin chapter, specifically with the water team. I also volunteer with the food pantry and some church activities as well. I've learned so much from volunteering and will continue to give my time to help others, and I'm grateful that eAchieve gave me the flexibility to work and volunteer on my own schedule.
Thanks, Kat. Any questions for Heather or Kat?
Yeah, I do. I have a question. You guys have been with eAchieve a long time, both of you, correct?
I've been at eAchieve for 7 years.
7 years?
Yes.
And Heather, how long have you been with us?
I joined a little over 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay.
Partway
So,
through the semester, yeah.
so my question to you is this year, we have had an increase in the number of students enrolled into eAchieve. Have you seen a difference in the ability for you to reach out to your teachers for help, or I'm just curious, as enrollment's gone up, have we been able to maintain the ability to serve you as we have in the past?
The only class I've seen a significant change in is Spanish, where previously there'd only be like 2 to 5 kids in an E-session, and this year that jumped to like 25 on average, which definitely changes the dynamics. But my teachers are still able to provide excellent resources, answer questions, and Senor Samoya is great at setting up help sessions if you just send an email and reach out to him.
Excellent, excellent. Other questions that we have? Oh, I'm sorry.
I do notice that the teachers seem to be a little more overwhelmed than they do in the past, but they still give us resources and are there for us if we need help.
Thank you, Catherine. Other questions that we might have of our eAchieve student representatives? Yes, Mr. Dietz.
Heather and Catherine, could you tell me why you chose eAchieve and why you continue to stay?
I chose eAchieve somewhat unwillingly. Partway through my sophomore year, I started having some pretty significant health difficulties, and I just couldn't continue going to my local public school. So my options were basically to drop out or to switch to an alternative schooling method. And then I started doing eAchieve more as a way to just keep on track and get credits until I felt better. And then I stayed because the flexibility just works for me. I'm self-motivated enough where being able to set my own plan and change how much work I do day to day not only works for my health, but it allows me the flexibility to do stuff like volunteer during the day and maintain a part-time job.
Thank you. Catherine?
I chose eAchieve because, well, like, I started out in a Christian school and then I did pace work, and then that wasn't working for me, so I needed to find a different school solution, and I didn't want to go to actual in-person public school or a different school, so I tried eAchieve, and I felt that's what worked for me, so that's why I stayed.
And do you mind sharing, each of you, do you mind sharing where you're from?
Not at all. I'm from Madison, Wisconsin, and prior to eAchieve, I went to Edgewood High School and Memorial.
Thank you.
I'm from Boyd, Wisconsin, kind of by Eau Claire, Chippewa Falls area.
Thank you very much. Nice job explaining the answers to my questions. I appreciate it.
Other questions that we have for our student representatives from eAchieve? All right, ladies, thank you very much for your presentation tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. We're now at the time where the section of our meeting where there's an opportunity for our citizens to address the Board of Education. I'd like to just say, it's good to see that there are many people here tonight. I know that each of you care deeply about your children, and you're passionate about them receiving the best education possible. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's what makes, I think, Waukesha a special community, is people really do care. It's one of the reasons why I live here and I chose to stay here, is It is a very caring community. As past practice, we typically allot 30 minutes to have people speak to us, but we have 30 people signed up. So I, as a chair, can expand that period of time, and I'm going to choose to expand that time to 1 hour tonight, that we will listen to citizen comments. And we have roughly 30 people signed up. In the past, we've given 3 minutes to people, but with 30 people signed up, we're going to cut that down to 2 minutes per person. And that will allow for more of you to address us. So we'll give each person 2 minutes. I do have the names of everyone who has signed up. Please excuse me if I murder your name. I'm not always the best at reading what's on the paper, so I'm apologizing up front here. What I'll do is I will call the person who's up, and then the person who is going to be up following, the on-deck person, if you wish. And just so you know, Amanda will start the two-minute period of time after you announce your name and your address. So we want you to announce your name and address. Unless you're a child, a student does not have to announce your address. So, with that said, our first speaker this evening is David Wad, followed by Samantha Reese. Hey, David.
Good evening. My name is David Wad. I reside at W278N1577 Lakeview Drive, Pewaukee, Wisconsin. I'm a father of a freshman at North. Tonight you will consider ending mandatory masking in our schools, and I have a simple question for you all. If not tonight, when? As of today, the 7-day daily average of new cases in this county is 9 and falling fast. Within the boundaries of our district, there are just 4 cases per day on average and falling. Nearly 80% of our most vulnerable citizens have completed vaccines. Every teacher in this district who wants to be vaccinated has been. 19 of our 23 schools report as COVID-free. 4 schools have total 6 cases across the entire district. That's half what it was on Friday. For the last 9 months, this district, without seeking parental consent, has forced every in-person student into a mandatory physiological and psychological experiment, the long-term effects of which we may never know for years. How much longer will you insist this continue? No matter how well-intentioned this policy may have been in the beginning, I remind you, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. You must immediately return to parents the right to consent to our children remaining subjects in this barbaric experiment. If you won't tonight, given the current conditions, when could we possibly trust you ever will? Are you waiting until COVID is eradicated, or until variants are gone, or until all of our students are vaccinated? Please. Everyone in this room knows those things will never happen. They are rationalizations to continue a now indefensible practice that some people seem to want to justify continuing indefinitely. So I ask again, if not now, when? If the answer is not yet, the only conclusion you leave us to draw is that you have no intention to ever do so. If not yet is the answer, I'm going on record right here, right now, by informing the district you do not have my consent to mandate my daughter participate in this horrific experiment a single day longer.
Before you speak, Samantha, I just forgot to go through some things that we normally go through when we have people address us. We expect all speakers to honor the time limit, to refrain from using any inappropriate language in any manner, and be respectful in their comments. Speakers who do not meet these expectations may be prohibited from speaking at future Board of Education meetings. We also expect that the audience will be respectful of the speaker and the Board of Education, will refrain from responding with verbal comments, cheering, applause, or other behavior that will detract from the meeting. We want people to get their messages across. Also, in order to respect our speakers, I ask that you silence your phones. I think most of you have already. So we just want to be able to keep this moving along in a very respectful manner and allow people to be able to make their comments. So next up, we have Samantha Reese, and that's followed by Stephanie Nitsky. Okay, Samantha.
My name is Samantha Reese. I'm in 7th grade. I go to private school here in Waukesha. I'm here tonight for my best friend Stephanie, who's had her school year turned upside down, with the majority of it being virtual. My experience at the end of last year with virtual learning was terrible. I missed my school. I missed being taught in the classroom where there were fewer distractions and it was easier to communicate with the teacher. But the thing I missed most of all was my friends. Where I attend school, we do not wear masks, there are no plexiglass dividers, we do not social distance, and we have been in person the whole year. A few students in my school have tested positive, myself included. And there has been no infection spread through the student body. This school year has looked like every other school year, and there is no controversy about these matters in my school. In fact, this has probably been my favorite school year yet. My teacher turned 69 this year and comes out of his basement regularly to teach. He takes our education seriously. He is passionate about teaching, and the passion for education makes him my teacher so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha. Stephanie is up next, followed by Allison Wad. Go ahead, Stephanie.
My name is Stephanie Nitsky. I am a 7th grade student at Waukesha STEM Saratoga. Wearing a mask has affected my education in a negative way. I get headaches, it makes me tired, and I have a hard time understanding my teachers and classmates through the mask. When I'm at school, I want to see my classmates and teachers' faces. I want to have a conversation without saying what 24 times when I'm talking to people. And did you know that I haven't even seen most of my 6th grade friends' faces? Playing sports is a big part of my life. I play softball and we have to wear masks when we play inside. It is hard because you are not breathing in fresh air and that is not good for your body. You should not force face masks on children nor adults. There is no mask mandate in the state of Wisconsin and it should not be one in the Waukesha School District. Thank you.
Okay, and Allison, followed by Stacy Keene.
Hello, my name is Allison Wad, and I want to thank you for allowing me the time to speak tonight. I'm a freshman at North High School, and I would like to bring to your attention some of the things I see and experience in my school regarding masks. First, I would like to bring up the difficulties with masks while in the classroom. In class, there are many occasions where teachers and students have a hard time communicating because of masks. This, as a student, can make it difficult to grasp the lesson and communicate with my teacher when I have questions. It is a challenge when collaborating with other students as well. I also think masks are a big social block. They make me feel alienated from my friends when I can't see them smile and talk about something that interests them, or when I can't see them smile when they find something funny. I remember earlier in the year, I was waiting in the lunch line and watching a group of students walk the halls, and I just remember thinking that everyone looked so sad. It made my heart sink, and it still does to this day. For me and many of my friends, masks provoke negative feelings. For example, one I hear very often is that it feels like we'll be wearing masks for years. And honestly, I feel the exact same way that those people do. Hopeless. Even when people are getting vaccinated and cases are going down, we still have to wear masks. It feels like the maskless world is so far away and forgotten. Personally, I am done with masks. I think many adults have the mentality that kids have just gotten used to masks, so it doesn't really matter to them anyways. But as a student, they are just as frustrating, if not more so, than they were over a year ago. Making masks an option for students would help us take a step into getting back to normal. It will help students in the classroom while trying to learn, while also helping to make students more comfortable while communicating with their peers. It will help take away that hopelessness that many of us feel on a day-to-day basis. Making masks an option will give everyone a chance to decide what they think is right regarding their health and education. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Allison. Stacy Keene, followed by Jordan Keene. Hi, Stacy.
Hi. I'm Stacy Keene, and I was once all about the masks. I thought, what's the big deal? Just wear the masks. These kind of people were crazy. But then something happened. The vaccine came, but the masks stayed. So here we are. Every teacher who wants a vaccine has had it. So why on May 12th, 2021, are we still demanding our children to cover their faces? My daughter gets dizzy in band. The kids are quieter than normal. They don't get to see their friends' faces, their teachers' faces. No facial expressions or cues from their teachers. And they are dirty. Have you looked inside of the kids' masks at school? I have. I sub in the schools. I've seen them. They are disgusting. What needs to happen for masks to go away? There are next to no cases in our county, in our district, and teachers, again, are vaccinated. What in the world are you waiting for? 2 of my children have never worn a mask at their school. They have never social distanced, never seen a piece of plexiglass, never played in a play zone like we make our kids do. They have never had to eat in their classroom. They have never been quarantined, and they have had a completely normal year. A normal year. This school has had no spread and has never shut down. It's just been normal. There is no use for them any longer. They need to be made optional. My children, all of their children, they do not belong to you, nor do they belong to Ellie McHenry and the bully of a union. Ellie, your teachers have been vaccinated. Move on. The parents are the only ones who should be deciding if a mask goes on their faces. Not this board, not the union, nobody except for us. We know what is best for our children, not you. We are not asking you. Make no mistake about it. We are demanding you take these masks off of our children immediately.
Let me remind people that you are addressing the Board of Education and not other people. That is the purpose of this time, is to address the board. Moving on to Jordan Keene, followed by Lauren Spencer. Hi, Jordan.
Hi, guys. Good evening. I'm Jordan Keene, and I'm a sophomore at Waukesha West High School. And before I start, I'd just like to thank the board for removing mandatory quarantines, because it is such a relief to know that I won't be forced into virtual learning, because like many other students, that did not work. But today I'm here to say that enough is enough. We need to unmask the kids. We are done with our faces being covered all day, and we are done with not being able to breathe. We are done with not being able to have normal social interactions, especially with our teachers. Communication and interaction just isn't the same when you have a mask covering up the majority of your face. Now at West, we can be suspended for not wearing a mask correctly. Can you believe that that is where we are right now? Masks should be optional, but do not force children to wear any face masks any longer. Forcing masks upon kids when they play indoor sports is just inhumane. I'm in band and we have to wear masks with slits in them. I don't think I have to tell you, but I will, this is just foolish. When I'm playing my instrument through the slit in my mask, I have to stop to take a quick breath, it is hard to breathe. I get dizzy and I get lightheaded on a regular occasion. But also, when I'm not playing, the mask is uncomfortable, and the Velcro that tries to hold the mask shut just cuts up my lips. So many of us are just done with not being able to breathe. Now, please, I urge all of you to take our statements into consideration tonight. It is not March 2020 anymore. In fact, it is 425 days later. It is May 2021. We are all done with it. Everyone says that they are concerned with the safety of us kids, and while I believe you are truly concerned about our well-being, then you should consider the damage that these masks are doing to us every day. So tonight you have a choice to make on behalf of us kids, and I urge you to make the right one. Please unmask us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Lauren Spencer, followed by Carrie Spencer.
Hi, I'm Lauren Spencer, and I'm a sophomore at Waukesha North High School. Whenever I go to school in person, and we are in school, we have to do group projects. Collaboration with other students is a skill that we need to learn as adults, because as adults, we are forced to collaborate with others. It's a basic human thing. Now, I struggle to hear the people who are in my group, and I'm constantly asking, what are you saying? What do you mean? The teachers have no clue what's going on in the classroom sometimes because nobody can understand. Me talking like this before you is entirely different than me talking like this. It makes no sense for us to stay masked when it's affecting our learning so much. I'm also in volleyball. I play a setter position, meaning I'm running around a lot. If I'm running around a lot and I'm forced to wear a mask, I get constantly dizzy afterwards. The whole mask situation at my school, it's also kind of affecting our mental health. Walking in, everybody has their heads down. We all feel so suppressed and defeated. During lunch, we can take our masks off because we are eating, and the entire mood lifts. But as soon as that's over, everybody goes back to being sad and suppressed. And I don't think that's okay. Please take this into consideration as you make your decision, and thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Carrie, followed by Lori Schwabe. Hi, Carrie.
I got emotional there. That was my daughter. My name is Carrie Spencer. It's 2112 Harris Highland Drive, Waukesha. First of all, I think I wasn't going to start with this, but I think when Heather, that teacher that was just up here, the psychologist, when she turned and looked to this group and said, "I see you," she's talking about the mental health of our children that she sees every day in these schools. My daughter was in school at Waukesha North. Come January or February, I believe it was, it got to the point driving her to school was a battle. Don't want to embarrass her, but crying. I don't want to go to school. I can't wear a mask all day. I can't deal with it. I feel so alone. That's the mental health that teacher that we just celebrated is talking about. Okay? So now to move on to what I actually wrote here, but that really hit me. So when we shut down this country to slow the spread, no one realized what a nightmare this would be to return to normalcy. A mask is not the new normal. The numbers are proving this is ending, and kids are not suffering from this virus, but from the mitigation efforts being forced upon them. Headaches, face rashes, sinus problems are just the basics. That anxiety, that depression, that feelings of worthlessness and oppression are unacceptable consequences. Not seeing faces of teachers, friends, is causing a dehumanizing environment for these kids. They're in an age, they're trying to develop, become people, become themselves. They can't do that when they can't interact with people in the proper way. I'm pretty much just going to throw the rest of this out the window, I guess. We need to fight for these kids. Their mental health is the most important thing. And to have that and learn properly at your school, at these schools here, we need to unmask our children and make that at least an option for families. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Carrie. Lori Schwabe, followed by Ben Menzel.
Hi, my name is Lori Schwabe, 1966 Garland Avenue, Waukesha. I had a speech written out, but it kind of seems redundant. So I'm going to just put one point at it, and then I'm going to share something else. Never in my 24 years of parenting have I had to make my kids do something I did not believe in or felt was best in their interest of their health. I had my kids follow that mask mandate because they totally love their teachers. My kids are at Waukesha North. I have 4 kids, and they love their teachers. And they wore it for them, but now they had the opportunity to be vaccinated. My kids had COVID. Our whole family had COVID. We survived. Yet my kids still have to wear masks. My kids still got quarantined even though they had antibodies. I don't get it. I asked a bunch of my friends that are doctors, what is the criteria that we have to finally be done with this? And they don't know. They're like, ask your board members, what is your criteria? We've been offered the vaccines, they've rolled out. We're not even honoring antibodies. These kids are being asked to wear a mask. And I asked my 16-year-old and my 18-year-old, how can I support you tonight? And they said, Mom, it's not that I want you to have you take away masks. I want us to have the option. Where's my option to be able to choose between wearing one and not wearing one? And for you guys to make the decision because they're done being shamed if they don't wear one. They have the antibodies. They're safer than the vaccinated people. And I don't get it. I'm also speaking on the behalf of the teachers. They want to be unmasked too. I have a husband that comes home tired. He's wearing a mask 8 or 9 days as a teacher. And I ask of you, please, let him be able to have energy to go to my kids' sporting events instead of being drained because he's had to speak through a mask for 8 or 9 hours. We're done. That's all they ask. Just think about people who cannot speak because of the teachers' union, and they're afraid to speak because of backlash. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Ben, followed by Kristen Jekowicz.
Good afternoon, Ben
Hi, Ben.
Menzel, 3938 Rivers Crossing Drive. I know a lot of teachers and a lot of them don't want the mask requirement removed. They think it should stay in place. My son's an 8th grader in the district. He's jumped between learning environments throughout the school year. I'm very proud of him because he's had an excellent school year. Success with the mask on. And I know he's not alone there. When I talk to him about wearing a mask, he always tells me, Dad, I don't know what the big deal is for adults. It isn't for kids. We have no problem with wearing masks. This last weekend, I had a conversation with him about the possibility that the mask requirement would be removed. My son's not one to show much emotion. He was visibly upset. He said that if the mask requirement were removed, he would not feel safe in school, and that he would rather attend school virtually. And again, I know he's not alone there. No parent should have any hesitation about the health and safety of their child when they walk in the school doors. If you decide to remove the mask mandate, that is the very position you're going to be putting so many of our families in. I've heard this board talk many times about how kids learn best when they're in school and how the board's #1 role is to provide the best education possible for all students. It's been acknowledged that the board is also responsible to ensure the health and safety of all students. If the mask requirement is removed, there are families that will pull their kids from in-person learning. This board then...
Please do not comment while the person's speaking.
This board will then have failed its very stated primary purpose. This board will not be providing the best education for all
30
students.
seconds.
This board will not be ensuring the health and safety for all students. This board will be rejecting the recommendations of county, state, and federal health officials, even more so now that quarantining is not required. If this board were to remove the mask requirement, this board would be reckless and acting without any regard for the health and safety of the students, staff, and teachers for which it is charged to protect. This board should not remove the mask mandate. Thank you.
Ben? Kristen, followed by Kelly Jekowicz.
Kristen Jekowicz, S35W27985 Pheasant Run, Waukesha. And I do know families who have pulled their kids because of the reverse as well. So, but thank you. I really do appreciate the opportunity to speak. Thank you to the board for really making all these hard decisions all year. This has not been easy, and I'm not going to say you did anything wrong. I'm just glad I'm not on your end of things. But I am a mother of 3 in the district. I have 2 at South and 1 at STEM. You'll hear from her shortly. I'm here tonight to ask you to allow parents to make an informed decision on the health and well-being of their children. Let us choose whether or not our children should wear a mask for 8+ hours a day. I've provided the board with links to studies showing that cloth masks are ineffective. All types of masks increase heart rate. Wearing a mask alters thermal regulation, which causes psychophysiological effects. Mask wearing causes headaches, hypoxia, and can lead to blood clots and reduced cognition. We don't want that with our students. It's important to me to note also that children are minimally affected by COVID, and all adults who want to be have already been vaccinated. I understand that mitigation was necessary to start the year. We didn't know what would happen when we rejoined the petri dish that we call our classrooms. We needed to be cautious, and I am so grateful our students have been in the classroom for most of the school year. But did we consider the negative effects the mitigation would have on our students? Overall, student mental health is getting worse. Anxiety and depression have skyrocketed throughout the last year, and I'm seeing it right in front of my eyes. Not only am I a parent in this district, but I'm a middle school math teacher in a neighboring district. 50% of my students this year were also in my class last year. I've seen those children go through uncertainty, lockdowns, quarantines, questioning what this year would be, mitigation, masks, mental health, not to mention teaching them a little math. I can generally say that I have seen a change in my students for the worse. In my observations, students are less connected, more reserved, less confident, less willing to participate, more likely to feel anxious, less likely to learn due to the distraction of the masks. Thank you for your time.
Valerie, followed by Jamie Touchstone.
Good evening, my name is Callie Jackwick and I'm currently an 8th grader at Saratoga STEM. I'm going to start off by saying that this has gone on for too long. I've worn a mask against my will and my parents' will for too long. I'm not saying masks need to be fully taken out of schools. I think students and families should be able to have a choice. Masks makes my learning difficult, I can't communicate properly, and it is harder for me to listen and talk to my teachers. It is completely okay if you want to wear one. Go for it. But is it too much to ask that you give me and my classmates a choice? Thank you.
Jamie, followed by Kurt Burry.
Hey, good evening. My name is James Touchstone, 212 Fountain Avenue, Waukesha, Wisconsin. Hey, I wasn't sure how tonight was going to go. I was prepared a speech with mask and everything else, but then I scrapped it because I think that the students that spoke before me have said things far more eloquently than I could have, being how they are actually involved in the school system. So I quickly rewrote it, and I thought some words about education, because that's really why we're here today. As a concerned parent, I have 6 children, all of who've gone through Waukesha South. Tonight, my daughter's actually in a band concert with one of the split masks, which absolutely makes no sense. But I'm here because I believe, and believe that you believe as well, that education is one of the primary means by which human beings come to be fully human. I understand that the American founders understood that a solid education involves proper instruction in reading, writing, and arithmetic. And that's really about it, because that prepares students for a self-government, which is essential to maintaining our prosperity and a free society. And the purpose of education is to enable human beings to live fully human lives. In order to achieve this goal, students must develop the virtues of character thinking and critical thinking. This means by careful study of what they believe is right and wrong, especially at the high school level for them and their health, because they're entering into the adult level and they need to be able to make these decisions. So it's a collaborative effort between ourselves, the concerned parents, the students which have passionately voiced their opinions, and you, the school board. So I just leave you with the following action points. Allow the freedom for the students to choose along with their parents whether they want to wear or not wear masks, attend school virtually or in reality. I want you to allow prom to return to normal, which is next weekend, along with graduation. Let us parents and grandparents come back in and visit the graduation, and let our students and daughters enjoy the prom with their dates.
Thank you, James. Kurt Berry, please, let's just try and keep this moving along. Kurt Berry, followed by Phil Larson.
Good evening. My name is Kurt Burry. I live at 3412 Fiddler's Creek Drive in Waukesha, and I'm the father of 4 children. I'm here to urge the board to make a vote to make masks optional for the school district of Waukesha. It really comes down to 3 reasons, and we've hit on all 3 already. I'm just going to highlight them. First, children are not impacted with COVID the way adults are. There are 1.5 million people in Wisconsin aged 19 and under. The fatality rate for that age group is 0.0%. Children just simply aren't impacted the way adults are. Now, adults have a different immune system, but the vaccine is available. Shots are available, and they've been proven to reduce the symptoms of COVID. So, children aren't impacted by COVID. Adults have the option to take the shot, but there's a third part I just want to highlight, and that's the damage that we're causing to our children by forcing them to wear masks. Children are not meant to wear masks all day. They weren't meant to hide behind these external mitigation tactics like poorly fitted, dirty cloth masks, social distancing mandates that are impossible to enforce, plexiglass barriers that force separation between classmates, friends, and teachers. Every day we are seeing more places relax their masking requirements, allowing adults and children outside of schools the freedom to choose. Based on where we are now, if Waukesha continues to mandate universal masks, then through that overreaction of policy, we're just continuing to create a generation of anxiety-filled, scared children that feel it's perfectly natural for a healthy child to hide behind a mask and sit behind plexiglass. And we condition our children to be afraid of not living behind a mask. That's not a world I want to live in. That's not a world I want my children to live in. So I urge you to make masks optional for the school district of Waukesha immediately. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. Bill Larson, followed by Luke Johnson.
Bill Larson, Hartford, Wisconsin. I'm here to encourage all you board members, your elected board members. I want to encourage you all to uphold your oaths that you took to represent these parents here. I want to thank you for getting rid of the quarantine. That was wonderful. And those of you that did it, I applaud you. For those of you that didn't, there's at least 3 of you that went the other way, and I want parents to understand that their terms are up in 2 years, or in 22. So we have Board Member Dietz in the purple mask, we have Mr. Baumgart in the blue, and we have Mrs. Roddy in the maroon. Their terms are up. If they are not upholding their oaths, vote them out.
Thank you.
Luke Johnson, followed by Allison Anderson.
Yeah, it is a question that I think you should all ask, and it's where do you draw the line between responding to a virus in the attempt to prevent it from spreading and using social distress as a useless device to advance power politics that serve no purpose other than advancing the hold that corporate America has over our children, their minds, and their freedoms. Now, I'm not sure if it's all the fresh O2 that I'm breathing, but I look and I see a flag right there, and it seems like it's the Stars and Stripes, and I don't see a communist Chinese flag. So I just wonder what you guys look at and see to make you think that it is your right as an American to enforce anybody, albeit a child, that you have the right to enforce them to be deprived of their basic necessities as a human being. I hope you guys find Jesus, and I hope you guys find God, because I think you need him, and I think you need his guidance. And I don't know who you take orders from, but it sure isn't him. So that's all I have to say.
My name is Allison Anderson, and I have an 8-year-old and a
Allison,
6-year-old.
please hold up for just a moment, please. The next person on deck is Mike Walsh. I wasn't able to get Mike's attention. I would truly appreciate it. Just let's keep moving through the meeting.
My sister
Allison.
didn't get a chance to finish hers, so I'm going to finish hers first, and then I'm going to do mine. Social emotional learning is at the forefront of many district initiatives, and Waukesha is no different for that. I am grateful. Meanwhile, we force students to cover their faces, which can have extremely negative effects on their mental health, and we have no idea the lasting effects of wearing masks at the height of our social emotional learning can have. They can't even see each other's faces to read emotional or nonverbal cues. Most adults do not have to wear a mask for 8+ hours a day. Maybe they work from home, or they do not have to wear one where they only have to wear one for meetings. Maybe their employer has given them the choice. I don't even have to as a teacher, because I can take it off anytime there aren't students in my room. If adults who are less impacted by the mask wearing due to their development have a choice and don't need to wear one for 8+ hours a day, parents should have that choice for their children. All medical and interventions, treatments, procedures, and devices provide both benefits and risks. While wearing a mask might provide some benefit, please allow the parents and the staff to weigh those benefits against the risk for themselves and make their own decisions for their health and the health of their own children. And I wanted to say that for my own children, I've watched them become excited about school when they started, and I've watched them become a shell of themselves. Like I said, they're 6 and 8, and they've come to me crying, begging me not to make them go to school because they don't want to wear a mask, because they can't tell what's happening with their teachers and their emotions, and they feel so disconnected, and they feel like they feel dirty because they have to wear that mask. And so I'm just asking you to consider removing the masks. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. And we'll be moving on to Mike Walsh, followed by Eric Eagers. Hi, Mike.
Hi there. Love that young patriot back there. We all need more patriots like him. So my name is Mike Walsh, 2412 Kestrel Lane. Ronald Reagan once said the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." The questions you should be asking yourself tonight have already been asked, but if not tonight, but when? Okay, when? Is it going to be summer school? No, because summer school, a whole new group of people are going to be fighting for the same thing, okay? You can do your lab experiments somewhere else. Do them on other groups of kids. You know, our kids are not your lab experiment. If you're going to be listening to Dr. Rachel Maddow or Dr. Chris Cuomo, you might actually believe that masks are going to be the Lord Savior of all population. The answer for them will be never. Never take away the masks. Fear-mongering, virtue signaling, it's never going to stop. Make the right decisions tonight. Okay? Don't delay. The same pro-mask groups that had no issues when rioters, looters, and social justice marchers did so in mass crowds without masks because it was for their right reasons. They use my body, my choice. Well, apparently that only works when you're snuffing out future Americans. I'll respect the mask wearers' right to continue into perpetuity for themselves. But I do not consent for my family being forced into the same place of shame. I'm going to decide what's right for my child. Let's dispel the mask myth right now, right here, okay? The window dressing you have on your faces. So, right here, this is a box of masks. These are acceptable anywhere you go. On the side of it, when you read it, it says, this product is an ear loop mask. This product is not a respirator and will not provide ear protection or any protection against COVID-19, coronavirus, or other viruses or contaminants, okay? That's what's acceptable, okay? This here, you can see it's a little mister, okay? This is a neck gaiter. This is accepted. It comes out. So I got a double there, okay? That's what comes out, okay? We're actually letting the crap out into the air, so let our people be protected by breathing real air instead of the contaminants. My underwear is cleaner than this damn thing after a burrito.
Thank you, Mike. Eric Eagers, followed by Jessica Major. Hi, Eric.
My name is Eric Eggers, and I'm at 900 Hawthorne Drive. I have a daughter in Hawthorne Elementary. I want to remind this board of a few things. The first being the email I sent to each of you that referenced studies on the effectiveness of masks. The experiments have found that multi-layer cloth masks block as much as 50 to 70% of the exhaled small droplets and aerosol particles that carry the virus into the air. Another study, the one I explicitly referenced, modeled transmissibility in a classroom of 20 people with natural ventilation. They found that without masks, when an infected person enters the room, about an hour 12 minutes passes before the other occupants are likely to become infected. However, if the people in the classroom are all wearing cloth masks, that time increases to 8 hours. Masks do work, and they are key to letting our unvaccinated children get the face-to-face instruction that we all want them to have. My second reminder is how Waukesha County Public Health amended its guidance to relax quarantining, as the board decided last week, such that students exposed to COVID-19 are allowed to continue in-person learning. But this guidance explicitly states that such relaxation only applies in school settings that are committed to leaving other mitigation measures in place, including mask wearing. Finally, we can't forget that most of the spreading occurs from people who don't have symptoms or never develop symptoms, and how the now dominant UK variant has proven to be more infectious, including among children. Now is not the time to let our guards down. Our children are not a health experiment. An action cannot be defended as a personal choice when it can put other people in danger. So please, follow the guidelines, heed the science, and listen to the more than 620 district school parents who signed the petition sent to you today urging you to maintain the masking requirements. Please don't force me to choose between sending my daughter into a riskier environment and pulling her out so late in the year and taking out her summer school course that she was so looking forward to. please do the right thing tonight and keep masks required in schools until our kids can be vaccinated. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Jessica Major, followed by Laurel Peterson. Hi, Jessica.
Hi. Just so you know, we have 700 signatures for our petition. Anyways, okay. I'm Jessica Major, a sophomore at Waukesha West High School, and I would like to share what's truly going on at school every day. Over the last couple of months, I've seen the intentions of staff members change. It is confusing to understand because as the outside world opens up, it feels as if the school is shutting back down. If the school is honestly concerned about the health of us students, they wouldn't have the janitors mop the floors with the same mops that they use to mop the cafeteria tables with. It's not even the worst part about all this though. One of my friends was pulled from class all because she wasn't wearing her mask to the staff members' expectations. They brought her into the office and told her that she had been written up and given 2 referrals without her even knowing. And on top of that, they proceeded to tell her that they would suspend her right now, but since she didn't know about the referrals, that they weren't going to suspend her. They threatened to suspend someone over a mask, yet there are students that go to the bathrooms to vape in the bathroom stalls, but they don't get suspended. They barely get yelled at. All because someone doesn't wear a mask, they only said that they'd suspend her if she continued to wear the mask below her nose and they considered to put her in E-Achieve next year. The staff is considering depriving students of their public education over a mask. Why are we so worried about the masks when children anyone over the age of 12 is eligible to receive the vaccine? Along with that, there are other statistics that prove that anyone under the age of 19 in Wisconsin has not died of COVID. The statistics don't lie. So why now? Why are the mask rules getting stricter in schools when the outside world is continuing to open up? Thank you.
Laurel Peterson, followed by David Bauer. Is Laurel here? She's coming? Okay.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem, Laurel.
Okay.
And then David Bauer is on deck.
Okay. I'm Laurel Peterson, 315 Northwest Avenue. I'm a Waukesha Middle School mom, and I'm here to speak in favor of keeping the mask mandate through at least the end of the school year. Masking is still needed in our schools because not only does the CDC as well as state and federal health departments still recommend it, but now that many adults are vaccinated, it's among children and young adults that the virus is spreading the most. In addition, more contagious strains have now taken hold, making the likelihood of COVID transmission even higher than it was in the fall. Next, I'd like to dispel a few myths that you've heard tonight. First, many people say that kids don't get COVID, and if they do, it's not that bad. Although that was how it seemed early on, we now know that kids do get COVID. We are also finding out that children can get long COVID, which causes fatigue, headaches, muscle aches, shortness of breath, and other symptoms for weeks or even months. Second, many of those who oppose masking believe that making masks optional is a fair compromise. This is not a compromise, but rather an act that will significantly increase the chances of students to get COVID. Removing the mandate, in essence, forces many parents to make the unenviable choice of safety or education, since almost all our kids haven't yet had a chance to vaccinate. It's tempting to assume that because there are so many people here tonight in favor of unmasking, that must be what the majority of parents want. That is not the case. There are many people who are in favor of keeping masking, but they didn't feel safe coming here because there were so many people that would be here unmasked and unvaccinated.
Thank you, Laurel.
Thank you very much.
David Bauer, followed by Diane Voigt.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dave Bauer, 2003 Wildberry Court, Waukesha, Wisconsin, here with my wife Heidi. This was not what I was quite expecting tonight, so it's been quite a crowd, but we just wanted to look back. 17 years ago, I served on the board with a few of you who are still on the board, and we've had a great experience with the Waukesha School District. 2 boys. Our youngest is graduating here in a couple of weeks. Heidi's been a school nurse for years with the school, and it's been a wonderful experience. So I just, number one, want to thank the board for the time that you've invested over the years. No one expected a pandemic a year and a half ago, so and I know it's not been easy for anybody. Kelly, Anthony, welcome to the board, and you have a lot ahead of you. I do congratulate and thank the board for removing the quarantine requirements last week, so I thought that was important and key, so thank you for doing that. Appreciate that. And I also just want to really my wife Heidi and I came to for board meetings for years. Sometimes it was just us and Paul for a while, so it was kind of a small room of people. But having the people come out, this is incredible. This is great. You guys are getting the voice out there. People are passionate. There's 2 sides, to this that we hear. But keep getting out there and having your voices heard. That hasn't happened. I've never seen this happen in the last 17 years with the school to the level it has in the last year. So I give a ton of credit to people that are here and showing up and talking. A ton of credit to the board for what you've been doing. Do what's right going forward. You have to take your own actions. That's why you're elected. You're listening to the people. You've got a lot of hard decisions coming up in the coming months ahead. And just wish you well on that. And again, I thank everybody for all you've done. Thanks to the teachers. It's been great. It's been a wonderful experience for our boys. And just good luck. Yeah, good luck as you move ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. And Diane Voigt, followed by Judith Amerson. Hi, Diane.
Hi. I'm Diane Voigt, and I live in the village of Waukesha, and I'm here to talk about a very different topic tonight. On August 18th, 2020, my daughter Greta and I participated in the Waukesha County Historical Society and Museum's Women's Suffrage Trail Tour in honor of the 100th anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. On the walking tour that started at the museum, our first stop was at the Theodora Winton Yeomans Park, located at 220 West Broadway. The small Central City Park was named in her honor in 1989. We were told that the Wisconsin Historical Society considers Theodora Winton Yeomans one of the most influential women in the state's movement to allow women to vote. She led the charge for suffrage as a reporter and associate editor for the Waukesha Freeman, and as the president of the Wisconsin Federation of Women's Clubs. She played a pivotal role in the fight for Wisconsin suffrage and the passage of the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. She made it possible for Wisconsin to be the first state to ratify the 19th Amendment. We were asked on the tour to take a look at Stop 7, which was the parking lot of Les Paul Middle School. We discovered that Theodora and her husband Henry, the editor of the Waukesha Freeman, had lived right there as of their marriage in 1889. Theodora lived right there in the Les Paul parking lot area from 1889 until her death in 1932.
30 seconds?
Right there in plain view of the new cafeteria that was being built as a part of the Les Paul renovation work after the successful 2018 referendum. The immediate response of everyone in the group was, we should name the new cafeteria in her honor. Tonight, the board is going to be looking at the action on the first reading of this proposal. Before the second reading in June, hopefully the story of Theodora Yeomans will become better known in Waukesha. When students sit at the lunch tables in Les Paul cafeteria,
Thank you,
they
Diane.
can realize her contributions.
Thank you, Diane. Judith Amerson, followed by Kristen Gable. Judith? Hi, Judith.
Hello. I'm Judith Amerson. I live at 2218 Norwood Drive here in Waukesha. And I want to thank you all for allowing me to speak tonight. Today I am here to deliver 621 signatures from students and parents of students attending public schools in the school district of Waukesha. Names and contact information and which school they attend or have children at are listed as well.
There are no fixed names on the list, there are no out-of-district names, and there are no private school attendees on this list either. The signatures were collected from May 6th through May 11th of this year. These 621 students and parents have signed on to the following statement. To the School District of Waukesha Administration and School Board. I support students and staff wearing masks for the remainder of the 2020-2021 school year and during summer school. I expect the school board to follow any updated CDC guidelines for the coming 2021-2022 school year. So these 621 people are directly affected by your decision tonight. I am not only speaking on behalf of myself and my family. I want to thank all of you on the previous board for giving us a good and safe options over this last year. The hybrid option was great for our family, and we have been very impressed with the fully virtual elementary school option as well. And I hope you've all noticed how hard our teachers and staff have worked this year to really make this wild year very successful for our students. I know that you've gotten written testimonies from several scientists, parents in the school district that explain all the science behind mask wearing. So I'm hoping that you have read those and that you will follow the science. We all want to get back to normal. None of us want masks forever. To get us.
Judith.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. There you go.
Kristen Gable, followed by Samuel Omiko. I might have not be pronouncing that name properly. Kristen, welcome.
Thanks. Good evening, and I thank you for listening to the families tonight. I do not envy your position, as this issue has our community so strongly divided. Tonight you're going to hear two sides of the story, and I'm in a really unique position because I've been on both sides with a severely immune-compromised daughter. And I'd like you to share my perspective tonight. The past 14 months, we have seen this worldwide how the data is always changing. When COVID first hit back in March, my family was already wearing masks. My immune-compromised 7-year-old daughter was hospitalized in the beginning of March 2020, right before the lockdowns occurred. We were wearing masks in our home when she came home, and we understood the importance of masking. We were one of the first to suggest to family and friends to mask, even as Dr. Fauci and the CDC were recommending we don't wear masks. My daughter became an example we shared with family and friends regarding the importance of masking. Before I go on, I'd like to make a little side note. In the beginning of this all, before we knew much information at all, we were really scared to think about my daughter getting COVID. Without revealing her medical information, I can say her condition is very unique, and she's been hospitalized more times than I can count for various virus and infections. She's even been a poster child for the Blood Center of Wisconsin and Make-A-Wish. Because of her, we have never taken COVID lightly. Yet, despite following all the rules and trying to protect our daughter, we contracted COVID. Thankfully, our family got through. And again, we wore our masks all the time.
30 seconds.
Thankfully, we got through because the fact is kids who are even immune compromised are doing extremely well. That is just a medical fact. So to wrap up, I'd like for those of you that want to see the mask mandate lifted, keep in mind that there are still families who have a good reason, but it's time to start this conversation. For those of you that are upset about the mask mandate, please know you still have the freedom to mask at school if you're comfortable. This isn't about banning masks from being worn in school, but it's about giving others the courtesy to make that decision to take the mask off themselves.
Kristen? And Wolf, followed by Christy Miller.
Hi, my name is Sammy D'Amico. I am an 8th grader at Horny Middle School, Flight Academy specifically. Today I'd like to talk about something that I did about, I want to say 5 or 4 months ago. I sent a message to every single member of the school board at the time, and I got all of one response. Because apparently, as we have seen, a lot of the members here do not listen to their community, do not listen to what people are saying. And though we have this very expressive group of people voicing their opinions, it does not see that no matter what anyone says, the majority of people here will listen. Currently, we are in the midst of a public health crisis. There's a pandemic raging on, and the school board seems to be ignoring it. Teachers are making the ultimate sacrifice of their health and safety in order to teach our children, and just recently in an emergency meeting, the board decided to end mandatory quarantine for students and staff members that may have come into close contact with someone who did or may have contracted COVID-19. While cases are rising and death rates are through the roof for adults and children across this nation, people on our school board aren't listening. And now the school board is planning a discussion and a vote on the mask mandate. Please do the job you are elected to do and vote in favor of our students and staff members. Keep the mask mandate for the remainder of the year, and do the job that people across this school district are asking you to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Samuel. Christy, followed by Sarah Harrison.
Okay. I'm Christy Miller, and my address is 900 Cedarwood Court. My son is a student at Blair. And in the beginning of the pandemic, our mitigation strategy made sense. We are in a different time now. The mitigation strategies that you implemented to safely reopen have taken on a new meaning. And you, our board, failed to plan when and how to end mitigation strategies. As the pandemic has changed, our school has changed. Our school district has not changed. Too many of us in the district have become complacent. We have found comfort in our pandemic routines and rituals with no goal to end them. I have read the data every day at the state level, the county, and the district. In our 23 schools, there are 0 staff cases and 6 student cases. In 19 of our 23 schools, we have 0 cases. 0 cases in elementary schools and Blair. Our county of 404,000 people has a 7-day new case average of 14. We have around 100 active cases in the whole county. But kids are not the drivers of the virus. Kids in our state represent about 10% of all cases. Our kids are not the problem in this pandemic. They cannot be our solution either. They wore masks and cases increased by 10 times anyway. The district went virtual for nearly a month in November and cases surged anyway. You cannot continue to treat our children as if they need to continue to protect us from the virus when this burden is no longer theirs. Vaccines are ending the pandemic. Masking kids is not. Vaccination rate at my son's school for teachers is 100%. 199,400 Waukesha County residents have been vaccinated, including 84% of our 65-plus population. You must end the mask requirement today. Thank our kids for all of their effort. Tell them they did a good job at being a part of the solution.
Thank you, Christy. Sarah, followed by Joey Jacobs. Sarah, followed by Joey Jacobs.
Hello.
Hi, Sarah.
I'm Sarah Harrison. I live at 850 Golden Meadow Court in Brookfield, and I have 2 students that are my children. I have a student at Horning and a student at North. We've heard a lot of anecdotal statements and hypotheses tonight, and I come before you with facts and sources. All of this information is found on cdc.gov, and I've sent specific links to all of you on the board to these articles. Facts do evolve, and these are all true as of today on the CDC website. The CDC recommends wearing a mask, not for the benefit of the wearer, but for the benefit of those around them. By choosing not to wear a mask, you are not only endangering yourself, to a higher level, you are endangering those around you. The CDC emphasizes universal use of masks and physical distancing as the most important COVID prevention strategies. CDC recommends that people wear masks anywhere that they will be around other people who are not in their household. When a mask requirement was lifted in high schools in Israel, a wave of COVID infections resulted immediately following. When students do test positive for COVID-19, the CDC advises parents, guardians, or caregivers of the close contacts to that person to keep their children home in quarantine for 14 days.
30 seconds.
And to consult with the student's healthcare provider for evaluation and a possible COVID-19 test. Based on these simple and straightforward CDC recommendations and findings, I urge you to continue using COVID prevention strategies, including continuation of the mask requirement and physical distancing to the extent that is possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Joey, followed by Kimberly Coronado. Welcome, Joey.
Hey. My name is Joey, and I'm a junior at North. And I keep hearing the argument that we need to abolish COVID mitigation efforts.
Actually, Joey, we can't bring signs to the podium. Please. Thank you.
I keep hearing the argument that we need to abolish COVID mitigation efforts because they're damaging to students' mental health, and you want what's best for the students and think about the kids, but that is absurd. Where were you when gunshots rang out in the halls of South? And where were you when hours after the shooting at South, North and our surrounding schools were on lockdown for almost an hour? Where were you when West had to evacuate because of a bomb threat? And where were you today when North got a bomb threat and had to evacuate for 2.5 hours? Where have you been every single time after these events where we just had to go back to school as if nothing happened? You cannot sit here and claim to care about our mental health when it comes to getting rid of masks, but turn a blind eye to the things that are actually affecting our mental health, such as the constant threats to our safety, work overloads, and now COVID. You cannot say you want to improve our mental health, but only when it's putting our physical health in danger. The excuse at the beginning of the year was to throw us back in school was for our mental health. We then went back and forth between hybrid, fully in-person, to virtual, to hybrid, back in person, back to virtual, then back to in-person, with quarantine sprinkled throughout. That only exacerbated our mental health struggles. And you know why? Because people like you used our mental health as a talking point and used us as props to send us back to school before it was safe. If you truly cared about our mental health, you would keep up this same energy for all the issues that affect our mental health, not just ones that fit your agenda. Masks are not the problem. They do not affect our mental health. You need to keep masking in place for our safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Joey. Kimberly? Welcome, Kimberly.
Hello, my name is Kimberly Coronado, and I live at 200 Tenney Avenue, Waukesha, Wisconsin. We, the parents and the community members, are here tonight to ask you to remove the mask requirement. I am here asking for the physical mask, and more importantly, that your invisible masks be removed as well. These invisible masks are a facade, a barrier to authentic parent engagement. How did we get to this place where parents have to assemble in large groups and hold signs as board members arrive to make our collective concerns and voices feel heard? Why is there signage to remind folks to be respectful when the respect is not mutual? The tangible anger and imbalance of power should not be our current circumstance, yet here we are today. Most disturbing to me as a parent, as I was trying to listen online with a poor quality of audio during the last policy committee on April 20th, a question was asked, who is trained in CPI? The response by Dr. Joe Cook was that all special education teachers and aides are certified in CPI. I want to make people aware of the importance of this statement. I find it deplorable that all special education teachers and staff are required to have nonviolent crisis prevention training as the only professional development tool by the district. But teachers are not provided the professional development on how to teach our students how to read using the science of reading. We make certain that our teachers know how to seclude and restrain the population of students who are most vulnerable, have the poorest outcomes, and then need the most support. This is wrong and unacceptable to punish children for the faults of the adults.
We are told restraint and seclusion are necessary in school because our children are violent. Even though every study on violence has revealed violence requires control and power. Who in this room has control? Who in our classrooms have the power? I'm requesting the Board of Education commit to studying.
Thank you, Kimberly.
There's also documents here as well for you, and my written statements.
You can give those to Sue, and Sue can make sure that we get a copy of it. Thank you. All right, so we have gotten through all 30 speakers who have signed up to address us. Appreciate your comments and appreciate the order that was kept while we're making those comments. We will move on to our minute approval. We do have 4 sets of minutes to consider for approval tonight. Our March 15th Special Board of Education meeting, our April 14th regular Board of Education meeting, our April 26th Board Reorganization meeting, which was a special meeting, and also May 4th, we had a special Board of Education meeting. Do I so have a motion for approval?
I have a question. Mr. Como?
Yes.
I'd like to ask for a separation of the approval of the minutes since Mr. Zenobia and I were not here for the 2 meetings.
Okay. So how about if we first take on the March 15th and April 14th meeting minute approvals, and that will allow you to abstain since you weren't at those meetings. So I appreciate that very much, Kelly. So how about if we look for a motion for approval of the March 15th and the April 14th minutes?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Bungart.
Second.
Second by Amanda. Okay, any discussion on those minutes? Okay, Sue, please take the roll call vote.
Corey Montiel.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek. Aye. Anthony Zenobia.
Abstain.
Amanda Ratty.
Aye.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Kelly Piasek.
Abstain.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 7-0-2. Sue? Okay, now I would consider a motion to approve the April 26th and May 4th minutes. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Montiel, second by Ms. Piasek. Discussion? Okay, Sue, please take the roll call vote.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek. Aye. Corey Montiel.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Kelly Piasek.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Anthony Zenobia.
Aye.
Amanda Ratty.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye, passes 9-0, Sue. Thank you. We'll move on to our communications part of our meeting. Dr. Siebert, do you have any communications you'd like to report out on?
I do not, Mr. Como.
Okay. We also at this time like to get an update on our Waukesha Education Foundation. Mr. Montiel, do you have one?
Yes, Mr. President, thank you. I first wanted to say that this is a new role for me. It was previously held by Diane Voigt, who I believe is here. She did excellent work, so I look forward to hopefully following in her footsteps. I'm pleased to report that the Waukesha Education Foundation, or as we call it, WEF, continues its fantastic efforts raising funds to award grants, scholarships, and to recognize our amazing staff and students. WEF has some outstanding upcoming events. The first one is scholarship nights at all high schools will take place May 19th, next week, and WEF will announce over 40 scholarships. And I'm pleased to report that through WEF's efforts, they are able to award about $24,000 more in scholarships this year than last. The current scholarship fund, which is a pass-through fund, is now available if anyone on the board would be interested in starting their own scholarship, or if anyone else would like to, please contact Executive Director Lynette Kalmage. The Partners in Education event is July 21, and all board members are invited and encouraged to attend. A save the date item is on your desk. The WEF Golf outing, which is a favorite of mine, will be held at Western Lakes on August 4th this year. All golf spots are sold out, but dinner tickets remain available.
There are also sponsorship opportunities for the dinner and driving range and lots of green sponsors. Even those who are not signed up to golf can come for dinner. Tickets for dinner and contact information for the sponsorship opportunities are on the WEF website. Just Google Waukesha Education Foundation. I'm glad to also to announce that the Board of Directors approved just over $35,000 in grants, which will, and we will announce the winners later this month at surprise deliveries at those particular schools. WEF received just over $110,000 in grant requests. The winners of the Move Forward event were Bethesda Elementary and their PTO, as well as Les Paul Middle School. Collectively, they won $2,200 in wellness grants for having the highest movement minutes per student. The reimagined first-time event was very successful, and WEF looks forward to making the modifications to make it even better next time around, next year. The Evening for Education event will be held at the Marriott Hotel on October 21st of this year. This is a fantastic event that highlights WEF's work and our educator staffs and students. Sponsorships are now available, and tickets go on sale later this summer, and Board of Education members are very much encouraged to attend. Nominations for the WEF Awards for 2021 are due by June 1 of this year, and you can visit the WEF website and look under the Awards tab to make nominations there. Finally, WEF's marketing team is working on a special video highlighting the founders of WEF and the growth of WEF, and they will use this to kick off the Web Leadership Fund campaign, which will attempt to raise $10,000 to match your previous single donation in a matching challenge fundraising campaign. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Montiel. It's always good to hear what's happening with that foundation. It's been with us a long time, and it's been very strong. All right, moving on to our charter school and program report given by Mr. Bumgart.
Yes, I do have a couple things to share with the board. eAchieve received some information from Jason earlier about eAchieve Elementary is hosting its first High Interest Day on Thursday, May 13th. Students will be able to participate in a number of engaging activities hosted by staff, parents, and other community members. Students will be able to choose from about 25 different virtual sessions, engaging activities, learning experiences, and different ways to learn from different experts. Students can choose up to 5 different sessions to join, with many thanks to eAchieve teachers Kristen Brewster, Carolyn Schreiber, and Lisa Diamantopoulos. Also at eAchieve, they indicating open enrollments are at about the same pace as 2020. Families seem to be in a bit of a wait-and-see pattern. They're ramping up for a larger alternate open enrollment marketing campaign this summer. And move on to some other things. Avid.
Oh, you're playing straight, I understand.
Excuse me. May 14th, which I believe is this Friday, Waukesha South will be celebrating becoming an Avid National Demonstration School. That is a very distinguished position for our Avid program to be in. We should be very proud of that. If you get a chance, you might want to visit them on Friday. The Engineering Academy and Health Academy. You probably received a message on this, but about the Academy Senior Presentation Night, June 3rd, 5 to 6:30 p.m. Seniors will show their senior capstone projects. I have seen this in the past, and I have been pleased with the work. It's amazing what those young people can do, both on their project and on their presentation. Consider dropping in sometime during those hours. It's not like you have to be there at 5 or such and such. It's a wander in, wander out kind of a thing at South High School. And last one, I want to talk a little bit about Hadfield. I had the opportunity to visit Hadfield just recently. A couple things came to my mind to share with you. First, a program called Drum Fit. In it, the students combine music and physical fitness with the guidance of a phy-ed teacher and a music teacher. I was able to catch the end of a session. How was that? Exercise, rhythm, and fun all at the same time. And they really were having a good time, and it's going to be, I understand they're going to be sharing that with across the district next year. So, good news there. Secondly, the students, Mike was just sharing this with me, the students, I think it was 4th grade, are being involved in what they call community. They are creating a hypothetic government and hypothetic businesses that they can participate in, so they begin to understand a little bit more about what a community means. And with that concludes my report for this month.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Appreciate that. Okay, now we're at the point in our meeting, still under our the general information part of the meeting, general business part of the meeting, to discuss and possibly take action regarding our mitigation strategies for the remainder of the 2020-2021 school year and summer school. To start this off, I've asked Dr. Siebert and his team to frame this, catch us up to speed a little bit on where we've been, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Siebert.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Como. So, as the board knows, we are very quickly approaching the end of the school year, and overall, we should be very proud of our kids, our staff, our families. They've all risen to the challenge tremendously to navigate through this COVID-19 pandemic to date. And certainly while we've made incredible progress, we don't believe we're quite out of the woods yet. And we're going to talk tonight, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Cook to begin. He's done a tremendous job leading our mitigation strategies to date, and he'll give you some brief updates. And then we'd be happy to explain our administrative recommendation and answer any questions that you may have, should that please the board.
Yeah, I just asked the people in the hallway to it's starting hard, getting harder to hear in here, so appreciate it. Thank you for doing that. Dr. Cook, would you like to proceed?
Sure. So yes, we've made it. I think I heard today we have 18 and a half school days left this year. I did hear that from some students. So we're nearing the end very quickly. As our speakers have been identified tonight, and as we've talked about at numerous meetings this past year, we've had a mitigation plan in place going back to the July when it was first approved at our board. Part of that mitigation plan has been extra cleaning, screenings going into the school year, making sure that we distance to the greatest extent possible. We put protections in place for people in our schools. Included in that was masks for all in our schools. As we moved through the school year, our case numbers started out relatively low in September and October. They got very high mid to late October through mid-November. We went on our winter break. When we came back from winter break, we saw a steady decline in cases up until the meeting that we're talking about tonight. We do have very few cases, positive cases in the district as of this meeting. In a meeting in a conference call or a WebEx meeting with Children's Hospital earlier this week, the doctors from Children's presented some information statewide that shows that the spread among 14 to 17-year-olds is still very high. I think it was 196 per 100,000 teenagers at that level, followed by students or children who are ages, I think it was 9 to 13 years old. That would be the second highest group in the state as far as cases go. As we saw in the guidance a week ago from Waukesha County, masks and other mitigation strategies were still recommended, and the doctors from Children's Hospital continued to recommend that on Tuesday morning's call. So that gets us up to this meeting today.
Any questions of administration's presentation on where we're at this time?
Just a clarification for Dr. Cook?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ms. Piaczek.
The 196 per 100,000, what is the geographical area for that?
That was a statewide number.
Okay, is there a formal recommendation that administration is presenting tonight?
We do have one. Dr. Cook and I have worked together. It's on your table. And the administrative recommendation would be that we continue the current mitigation strategies for both students and staff for the remainder of the current 2020-2021 school year. And that then for summer school programming through the month of July, that we would use all of our mitigation strategies minus temperature checks, and that further decisions as they relate to summer school programming in the month of August and the 2021-2022 school year would be assigned to the School Operations Committee, which is the new name for the reopening committee, whose recommendations would be subject to the board's approval during the June and/or July board meetings.
Questions on that? Yes, Mr. Baumgart?
To get the ball rolling, I'm going to move for approval, or accepting that as approval, or whatever the right words are. The administration recommendation, I will move for approval.
Okay. Should we have you read the whole thing, though? I think we should have you read the entire piece, Mr. Baumgart.
Same things. Okay. I move for the school district of Waukesha to continue the current mitigation strategies for students and staff for the remainder of the 2021 school year. For summer school programming through the month of July, all mitigation strategies minus temperature checks will continue to be in place. Further decisions as they relate to the summer school programming in the month of August and 2021-22 school year shall be assigned to the School Operations Committee, whose recommendations will be subject to board approval during the June and/or July board meetings.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Ms. Roddy. Discussion? Mr. Baumgart?
I'll lead with a couple of things. Based on some of the conversations we heard here this evening, I think it's important that we remind people that, yes, we have an oath that we are operating under, but that oath is for all students and staff, not just a certain select group. All students are our responsibility. And that fits with our oath. And I think that's just what I want to get off right away.
Okay. Ms. Reincheck?
Thank you. Who's on the School Operations Committee?
Good question. We do have one board representative, and that is Ms. Piasek. Dr. Siebert, do you want to round out everyone who's on that committee?
I'll actually let Dr. Cook do that as he oversees it. I'm happy to be a part of it.
We have many stakeholders.
The committee consists of 3 principals, 3 teachers, parents from our school district. We have a representative from Children's Hospital on our committee, and we have a doctor from Aurora who is going to serve on the committee, as well as district administration.
Ms. Reincheck, continue.
How did you select the parents?
Can you talk up, Karen?
How did you select the parents?
They were the parents who were on the committee from last school year's reopening committee were re-invited back to this committee.
Okay. Ms. Piasek?
Thank you. First, just as a request of privilege, I would like to ask if the gentlemen in the room are going to be referred to as doctor, that you would have the same courtesy for me, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have asked you, Dr. Piasek. Yeah, I'm no malintent.
Understood.
And
just a clarification.
I kind of did a flop last time with Mr. Zenobia. I started to say Mr. And sorry, I'm just not used to calling on you, and I just called you Mr. Anthony. So I apologize. No malintent.
We can move
Dr.
on. That's okay.
Dr. Piasek.
I just wanted to also add that I am on the committee, but I've never attended a committee meeting. So when that committee would be called would be my first time participating in it.
Mm-hmm. Just as board president, the board president gets to assign people to various tasks. I felt that you were well qualified, especially being in the healthcare industry. Just that's where my thoughts were at. So just so you know. Yes, Mr. Zenobia.
I am fine being addressed by either Anthony or Mr. Zenobia. That's fine by me. I do have a question though. This motion was written by this committee, but Dr. Piasek
Can you speak a little closer? I'm sorry, you're louder.
Dr. Piasek was not at the committee to write this?
This was an administration recommendation coming from essentially the cabinet.
Yeah, the superintendent, myself and Dr. Cook put that together. The committee begins meeting tomorrow
Oh, okay,
for
so
the
the
future.
committee did not write this?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Good question.
Dr. Piasek?
I'd like to make a motion to separate the issue in front of us, to remove and separately discuss the temperature check.
So there is a motion on the table. That's what we have to focus on.
Robert's rules allows to separate topics.
I'm looking for some assistance on that. I'm not familiar with that, just so you know. We haven't done it before. We've usually have taken it in an amendment kind of approach.
Joel?
Is that under divide a motion?
Yes.
Yes. Is that what it's formally called, is divide a motion?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I see that. I just haven't run into it, so I appreciate everyone's patience. I'm not an expert in Robert's rules by any means. So what this says is it's not debatable, it is amendable, and there is a vote required by the majority to divide the motion. So we can't debate it, can't discuss it. So what you are proposing is to set aside the temperature checks from this motion that was made as a separate topic.
Correct.
Okay, so we are looking for just a simple majority on that. So Sue, will you please take the roll call?
I think we need a clarification, just so we're all clear.
Okay?
That is not a matter of debate. That's a matter of, I want to make sure we know we're splitting this. So can I just ask you directly?
Just clarification?
What I'm hearing is, I move that the school district of Waukesha continue the current mitigation strategies for the students and staff for the remainder of the 2021 school year. Are you going further than that or not? I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I think, well, I'll let Dr. Piasek clarify what she wants.
My request is to see the phrase minus temperature checks.
Oh, okay, so you're going further than I just asked.
But taking that out makes it its own separate motion, so that we would separate these two. So there would be a separate motion to remove the temperature checks.
Yeah. So essentially, we take one motion and divide it into two, and we talk about them separately. And that's what we would be voting on now, and we can't debate it. So, pardon? Yes, we do. Did I not ask for a second? Is there a second to that? Second by Mrs. Reinacek? Okay. No discussion, but we do need to vote on it. Sue, will you please take the roll call vote?
Again, let's read what we're voting on.
To divide the motion, we are going to separate out the discussion on temperature checks completely separate from the motion that was originally made.
Your intention?
That's my intention, yes.
So the summer school stays in this,
Yeah, the only thing that's being removed,
the temperature check?
Yes.
Okay.
So what would that look like?
Two motions.
Right.
The first as written, the first as written with the exception of minus temperature checks.
yeah, so we would just essentially cross out minus temperature checks for one motion, and then another motion,
To discontinue temperature checks.
we would discuss discontinuing the temperature checks. Okay, Is that clear? So what we are voting on is to divide the motion into two motions. Sue, will you please take the roll call vote?
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Kelly Piasek.
Aye.
Corey Montiel.
Aye.
Anthony Zenobia.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye, passes 9-0. So we will divide these into two separate motions. I don't know if there is any guidelines on which motion is taken up first. Do you have any sense of that, Dr. Siebert? Dr. Piasek?
The initial motion would have priority unless someone were to move to table it.
Thank you. Maybe I need to make you the parliamentarian, which would be, okay. Yes. Yes, Dr. Piasek.
I'd like to move to table the discussion of all mitigation practices and prioritize the discussion of the temperature checks.
Okay, is there a second to that? Second by Mr. Zenobia. Table, I don't believe we have discussion on the table. It's not debatable, and it's not amendable. So what Dr. Piasek is asking us to do is to table the primary motion and to still take up the secondary motion of the minus temperature checks. Is that clear? Okay, Sue, would you please take the roll call vote to table the primary motion?
Karen Reinacek. Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Kelly Piasek.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
No.
Corey Montiel.
Aye.
Anthony Zenobia.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Greg Dietz.
No.
Joseph Como.
No. Passes, Sue, did you count 6-3? Okay, thank you. So we have tabled the primary motion, so let's move on to the secondary motion of discussing eliminating temperature checks. Discussion, comments? Yes, Mrs. Reincheck?
I can ask a question about our temperature checks?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Have any of our temperature checks resulted in a positive COVID case?
At the beginning of the school year, we did screen a number of students who showed up to school with a fever. So at the beginning of the school year, it was effective. In the middle of the year, it became less effective. It caught fewer kids as the school year was going forward. And now we are not seeing many, if any, students get screened with a temperature check in the sense that they're not showing up with a fever right now.
Okay, have we even given temperature checks to our staff?
Yes.
So when they come in, they are scanned as well?
I have been scanned going into schools as a visitor, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Montiel?
Thank you. I appreciate the topic too. We get lots of, as gentlemen and the ladies mentioned, studies and reports and journal entries about this. I think just about everyone I've read that deals with the temperature check issue says that it's no longer deemed to be an effective testing of or screening of COVID. So, well-meaning, I don't think it's appropriate anymore, and I think it should go away.
Mr. McCaffrey, did you have your hand up?
No, sir.
Okay, sorry. Other questions, comments? Otherwise, the motion before us is to remove temperature checks. Is that clear? That is correct? Okay, Sue, please take the roll call vote on eliminating temperature checks.
Okay, I just wanted clarification because we had the motion and the second to move to table the discussion on the primary motion and take up the secondary, but we didn't actually have a motion to eliminate temperature checks.
Well, I believe the way we would interpret it, since in the original motion it was minus temperature checks,
Okay, so
that I would
then who would be
interpret that
considered-
Dr. Piasek wanted to talk specifically on that, and that would be
So it'd be her motion then to remove.
To remove the temperature.
Yes, and there was a second to that. I don't remember.
The second for tabling it and.
No, not for tabling it. but-
To table the discussion, move,
Not to table it, but there was a second
Divide
to
the
divide it
motion?
out.
divide the motion.
Yes, there
That would
was
be
a second to
Karen-
that.
Karen Reinacek.
Yes.
Okay, so that would be that for this.
So this is a vote to essentially eliminate temperature checks. Okay, so Sue, will you please take the roll call vote?
Kelly Piasek.
Aye.
Corey Montiel.
Aye.
William Baumgart. Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Anthony Zenobia.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye, passes 9-0. Sue? Okay. So we are looking for any other motions?
Table.
Well, we can still talk about mitigation strategies. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you not hear me? Oh, okay. Bill, you need to be closer. Sorry.
About what?
Well, we couldn't hear what you were saying.
Well, we were talking about the other motion. The rest of what's on this paragraph.
So there are no motions on the table at this point in time, but we still can.
Yes, all the rest of this is on the table. We vote to put that on the table? I voted against it, but 6 people voted to
Tabled.
table the rest of this, right?
Correct.
So,
Which does essentially cover, and my apologies, what you actually presented did cover in,
everything else on that paragraph.
just want to see how we posted it on the agenda. Just sorry about that.
We still have discussion. As many motions as are wanted could be presented during this item.
Right.
Or untabled.
That would be my understanding too, that we would be able to continue our discussion and make other motions.
Tabled.
Mr. Zenobia?
I would like to enter a motion. Motion I would like to enter is masks are no longer mandatory but optional for all students, staff, and all other persons on all SDW property. This applies to all away SDW functions, activities, athletics, and all modes of student transportation effective immediately.
Okay. So I do need to ask, and I want to continue to ask the question that Bill asked. I'm of the understanding that that one motion is tabled, but we can still continue, Dr. Siebert, to talk on these things and have other motions come forward. Would you agree with that?
I believe you, that is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to be sure. And thank you for typing this up.
Welcome.
Okay, is there a second to this motion? Second by Mr. Montiel. Discussion. Comments? Mr. Baumgart.
I have an issue with the optional. We're making it optional for a certain piece of the population. Because we have another piece of the population that does not want this, period. But they would be subjected to the dangers of some of the people having the opportunity to not wear a mask while they are insisting that we should be wearing masks. So I don't think it's not optional for everybody. You could say it is, but we know that there's a large population that doesn't want to be exposed to people that are not wearing masks. So, to me, it's a negative.
Okay. Mr. Zenobia?
May I make a clarification or say what the spirit of this is? This is a compromise. The word optional is a compromise. every person that wants to continue to wear a mask and was protected by a mask in the past will still be able to choose to wear a mask. Every person, especially everyone that we heard from tonight, and the two large petitions that were given, I think were fairly even, some 600 and 700 signatures each, of people on both sides of the issue, would give the other side of this the option to not wear a mask due to many, many reasons that we've heard, due to many emails that we've all seen, anxiety, depression, PTSD, which was in the study that Children's Hospital gave not too long ago that many people have cited to keep masks in place. Children's Hospital has said they haven't even begun to study the mental health issues that were presented in that presentation just that came out in April of 20. So this is a true compromise for the entire community and for the entire school district of Waukesha, for everyone that's involved in this process.
Mr. Dietz?
Just some comments. I am not a doctor, nor do I have any medical background. When it comes to COVID-19, I listen to the Waukesha County Health Department. I listen to the State Department of Health and the Center for Disease Control. I am not one of the district lawyers or an agent for the district's insurance company. None of these that I have mentioned are advocating for the removal or optional use of masks at this time, so I am not going to be either. Thank you.
Mandarati?
Thank you. With the second sentence, it says this applies to the SDW functions, activities, and athletics. How will that affect our student athletes given the WIA's current policies? I don't know who
Dr.
to direct that.
Siebert or Dr. Cook? I know we've been working on that as far as quarantines go also.
Yeah, the WIAA's authority would step in when students became eligible for the state series, so the regional, sectional, state championships. And at that point, our athletes, if they're to be eligible for those competitions, they would have to be adhering to quarantining and the other mitigation practices that the WIAA puts forward.
Sorry. Mr. Montiel?
But a policy like this, if it's adopted, would not prohibit those students from engaging in these activities as long as they themselves and the teams followed the WIAA quarantine and COVID mitigation.
Yeah, those student athletes would have to follow that should they hit that level of performance this school year.
So this doesn't change that. Okay, thank you.
Mr. McCaffrey?
How would it affect other schools, us traveling to other schools? Because I noticed in here it says applies to all away SD functions. So if we went to Mukwonago and they required masking, we would
have to
required to do what that district.
Correct. We would have to follow what that district said. And then just as going back to the WIAA rules, schools that have different mitigation strategies could refuse to play us. That is their right under the WIAA rules this year.
Okay. Mr. Dietz?
I'm looking at the brochure that was online for summer school registration. And it clearly highlights the mitigation efforts that parents signed up for in going to summer school. For students, it says cloth face coverings must be worn. Classrooms, cloth face coverings must be worn. Hallways, passing periods, cloth face coverings must be worn. School arrival, cloth face coverings must be worn. Bus protocol, cloth face coverings must be worn on the bus. School dismissal, cloth face coverings must be worn. Employees, cloth face coverings must be worn, and others, cloth face coverings must be worn. And those are the mitigation efforts that were very clearly stated in our summer school brochure. And those are the mitigation efforts when people did sign up, parents signed up for their kids for summer school, were signing up for. I would be concerned if this passed that we would have a mass exit of parents withdrawing their students from summer school, which obviously has a financial impact on the district.
Okay. Dr. Piasek?
Just as a counterpoint to Mr. Dietz, I believe last August, the board voted to return to school 5 days face-to-face, and many parents enrolled their children in school with that expectation, only later to be changed to hybrid. So I do think that when we put mitigations or when we communicate what our plans are, there certainly can be expected that the board may make changes to those plans.
Mr. Bongart?
Yeah, I guess my concern, along with what I heard from Mr. Dietz, there will be, we've been notified by parents that if we change the rules, they will be dropping out of the summer school program. We don't know the numbers, but it's going to be some, which is ironic because as we were going through this past school year, the criticism of our kids are not getting the education that we want them to get. I understand that. I agree with what's happening. But many of them are planning to use summer school as their opportunity to catch up. Whereas the potential of losing a good percentage of these is going to be hindering their ability to catch up. So I see this as a negative for the opportunity for getting your education caught up by being in summer school. And we know that there's a lot of people applying. If we are going to do this, it's going to damage that. Also, potentially damage availability to staff to do summer school because it's going to take staff volunteer to do their to work in summer school. This is going to be unattractive to staff if we have eliminated these mitigations, and to the kids.
Mr. Dietz?
Do we have any information on the number of students that have signed up for summer school?
Don't have that at hand right now.
But the deadline is already passed, right? There probably is no deadline.
Yeah, I think we accept kids as long as they want to. We do give a soft deadline so that we can do our staffing, but
I don't recall if Dr. Piasek was up first or Mr. Montijo. Mr. Montijo?
Thank you.
Okay.
We obviously have been doing this for more than a year. As we have looked at this, we have tried to use the best science, the best judgment, look to other individuals and research to try to say what's the right thing to do. We were very, very cautious. I mean, we have slowly backed off of that because the facts and the time that has gone by has, I think, shown us that we don't need to be that cautious anymore. Specifically with quarantines. The day after we made that decision, the county changed their recommendation. It's not as if the science and the information and the data was any different that next day. They fell in line for whatever reason. As we have progressed, I have heard argument after argument and concern after concern, which is absolutely fine for many, many people. But what I have noticed up until today and probably through tomorrow, every single thing when we addressed either backing down mitigation efforts or adding them or concerns people had, every single thing I heard and was told to me bad that would happen, not a single thing happened, thankfully. But what we did is we've been backing it off. And at this point, I view this as a legitimate debate and concern, but I'm hearing the same mantra of if we do this, we will have these bad things happen. That has never been true throughout this entire debate. From where I sit and what I've learned, the numbers now are extremely low. We just got rid of temperature checks. The data now shows those are ineffective. They're not good for screening. The data also shows that plexiglass screening is no longer necessary. I think the data shows that physical wiping down of classrooms is basically ineffective. So I'm not one to be willing to wait for the county to fall in line, the CDC to fall in line. They don't run the school district, we do. And we're elected by people in this room and people watching and the 90,000 people that live within the boundaries of the school district. So I support the motion. It's time. It is impossible to make everybody happy. I feel for those students that are on both sides. And a lot of them spoke very, very eloquently tonight, and the parents should be extremely proud. And some spoke on support of this, and some spoke against it. The students that went up there and spoke without notes, it's I don't see that often among adults. So it's time. I support it. We're going to get backlash either way. Frankly, tough. It's just the way it rolls when we are elected, and this is the most divisive issue, I think, in public education since Brown v. Board of Education. It's just the way it is. If I could fix everything and make everybody happy, make everybody completely healthy, we would have done it a long time ago. So I support the motion, and I hope it passes.
Sure, Dr. Cook.
As a board, I know I can't weigh in on it. In the last week, since the quarantines were dropped, I've had a number of families of children with disabilities who are in school based off of the mitigation plan that was laid out. They did it in consultation with their doctor, and their biggest concern was, if this goes into effect immediately, what do I do with my child the following day? So as you consider this, if there would be a date into the next week, perhaps early next week even, that it will allow us to have IEP meetings to make adjustments to the program, those families said that they would appreciate that. So I offer that just as information.
Dr. Piasek and then Ms. Reinacek, I think you had your hand up also.
Thank you. Just a few thoughts here. So I do know that we have families in the district who have chosen to keep their children home because they can't comply with the mask requirement. And I just want to put that as a counterpoint to those who I do understand, and I've heard and I've spoken to many who would like to keep the masks required for all other students as well. I have also received a lot of emails from parents asking that we completely comply to the CDC guidelines. If we were compliant with the CDC guidelines, we would never have returned to face-to-face learning. We would have been in hybrid until last week. We would not have sports that have contact inside of 6 feet. That means no soccer, no baseball, no lacrosse, no full field track. So we have made those trade-offs. We've accepted the risks because that's what's right for our students. Furthermore, we adults don't wear the masks right. We know the kids don't wear the masks right. They're dirty. I'll be a parent who admits that my kids have picked masks up off the floor of my car because we forgot them when we pulled up to school. It just isn't something that is protecting our children. And while I understand that there's concern of those parents who don't feel safe because the other children might not be wearing masks, I think that's a pretty risky mitigation strategy to trust somebody else's fourth grader to wear their mask properly to keep your child safe. I've spoken to many teachers. They tell me the kids have them in their mouths. They shove them in their sock when they go to recess. We're asking the children to comply, and we don't care if they're doing it right. Or in the case of certain high school experiences, we're holding the children to a standard of perfection that's leading them to become suspended. And I don't think that's the business that our administrators and teachers want to be in either. Just one more comment I wanted to make, and a lot of people want to reference the guidance that Children's Hospital has given. I have a lot of respect for the physicians at Children's Hospital. Don't misunderstand me. But the guidance that Children's Hospital provided to schools in Wisconsin included references not to scientific publications, but to the Washington Post and the Chicago Tribune. And I have a problem with that. If we're going to talk about science, we're going to talk about medicine, we need to do it with the right resources. So I know that there are a lot of different perspectives here. I know that everybody's got their favorite papers and the things that convince them of what's most important. I think we've gotten to a point now where we have families, children, asking us to look at the data and to trust that they can be respectful to each other. If we look at the CDC guidance, low transmission rate is 0 to 9. That means if we have one case in Waukesha County, or 0, they're still expected to have masks, tests, 6 feet distancing. There's no bottom to this. There's no point where we're done, according to the CDC guidelines.
Mrs. Reinacek?
Thank you. I just have random, some thoughts and comments.
That's fine.
So I had spoken with Dave Anderson from the WIAA for about a half hour yesterday, and he helped me to understand that what we do right now until the end of the school year is up to us and our policies, and each individual district has their policies. And what happens in the summertime when school is out and it's postseason, then they have already sent out a questionnaire asking each district what they feel on this and this and this, and then they're going to design their own policy for that. So when getting back to when we talked about playing another potential team, if our district has a certain policy and theirs has a certain policy, we can go by ours, but when we go to theirs, I'm not sure what's going to happen, if we have to wear masks or what, or if our students would, but if the state is recommending, or if the state mandate is down, I was hearing there's lots of districts having these discussions, and they are having these conversations, and especially in our conference. So anyway, I wanted to say that. I also spoke to our pastor at church, at Amanda and I's church, and he talked about their decision to honor the decisions of the state, where we all then had a mandate. And then when they lifted that, then they didn't feel the need to force people anymore, but give them the freedom to choose. Even the kids there, everything in the classrooms, no outbreaks in the congregation, and just in the staff in March, 10 got it. At the gym, it's open, and we can use the bubblers again. I hear from teachers saying that the kids come in with red faces, and I know it's optional outside, but if they have to have them on, or if they choose to have them on, they come in and they can't have drinks because they might not have had their water, and the bubblers are off. But there's a lot of people still thinking that this is like it was months ago, and it's getting better, and the numbers are going down, and things are opening, and we're not seeing the numbers spike. So I just wanted to put that out there. And I have a question. Actually, one more thing. Someone talked about the kids not being able to have the breaks, and I know that they talk about a mask break that they do get to have, and then at lunch they pull them down. But think of us as adults. Like when I have a quick break at work, I'll go to the back, I'll take it down, and I'll just like sit there for 5 minutes and breathe, if I'm wearing it or if I was. On the way to work or on the way home, I don't have it on, but on the way to school they have it on all day till their break or till their lunch, and then they've got it for the rest of the day, and then all the way home. That's a lot. And if we're in our offices, or you're in our offices, you can take it down when no one's around. Like, they're around kids all the time, and they have to have it on. That's a lot. So someone struck a chord with me tonight. That is way more than adults are. And so those are just a few random things I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay. I think Mr. Montiel had raised his hand next.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm trying to keep track.
At this level,
I'm also trying to listen to everyone too, so.
My impression is at this level, we are talking about mitigation efforts and how we handle them and how we deal with COVID in a perfect world scenario. The assumption is if we have masking, it will always be followed. It will happen as it should, and anybody who violates it is going to be punished. That's not what's going on. I went through North High School. I go through other schools. I drop my daughters off at public schools in School District Waukesha. I see this all the time this morning. I see kids putting it on as they walk in the door. I see this. I went and looked at a lunch period. They're not wearing them. They're not social distancing. So if this goes into effect, which I certainly hope it does, not much is going to change. The people who are arguing that this is going to endanger them, that dual masking is absolutely necessary because it makes them unsafe when someone else is unmasked, no one has left this room yet. No one who supports that has left this room. There are, I'm not good at math, but there's a whole lot of people in here not wearing a mask. No one feels that strongly that it's unsafe that they've left the room. I think it says that we're in a real world. And then Ms. Reinachek talked about, and Dr. Piaksik alluded to, think about what we're actually doing in public. I can go to a restaurant and I've got to put my mask on because it says masks are mandatory. Then I can go sit down at the table with 18 people next to me and we can hug and lick each other's spoons if we wanted to. And I don't need to wear a mask. It doesn't make any sense. At this point, I get it. It was well-meaning. I am going to have to, if I live long enough, sit down and explain to my grandchildren what happened and what I did. And I want to be able to look them in the eye and say, yeah, it was a little crazy. We did the best we could, and we played caught up. But in the spring of 2021, we did the best we could. We made the best decision. And guess what? People were just fine. So I think that's what we're doing here today, and hopefully it passes.
Ms. Roddy?
Yes, thank you. I'm going to try to gather my thoughts here efficiently. Dr. Piasek mentioned that we have made trade-offs. Yes, ma'am, we have. We've removed the close contact quarantine. We have now removed temperature checks. We've known from the beginning that we've had very little distancing within a majority of our classrooms. And as Mr. Montillo said, yes, it's very true that we can go out to majority of the public places in our community and, not have a mask on. With all of those things, to echo what Mr. Dietz said, I'm not a medical professional. I am, with whatever votes I've made, I've already taken risks with our students in the classrooms. By taking any more away, we don't know what's going to happen. We still have prom, we still have graduation, we still have sports events. With removing these, the idea or the notion to say that nobody's died, thank God for that. I really, truly do. But how many of those children who have been sick, or even our staff, are still continuing with long COVID? It is not something that I would wish on anybody. And we don't know. We don't know what these children are going through. Some of these headaches, some of these other things, it could still be from what that long COVID is. To restate a couple of our colleagues from another meeting, they said we need to finish out this year the way we are now. Another said that it's been my goal to keep the kids in the classroom, to keep the mask on, because if we don't, whatever the reason, right or wrong, the whole lot of these kids are going to be pulled from their class, and that's not what anybody wants. It's not any good for them. We've removed a lot. We are so close to the finish line. Yes, our staff has been able to be vaccinated. Those who choose to, wonderful. As of yesterday, today maybe, now our middle schoolers will have that opportunity. They haven't had that opportunity yet. It's just been granted. So let's give this time, let's write it out these last 18 days to allow them, those who want that opportunity, to take that opportunity. Then for summer school, I understand I signed my children up for summer school, and I did sign them up with those intentions. However, if the board would agree or administration would advise, let's reach out to those parents and at least get their input and say, you know what, we're thinking of removing some more mitigation steps. Let's get your input. Let's just give them that chance. When the idea of saying that we don't need to be as cautious anymore, I don't know that I necessarily agree with it. I can respect the opinion, but I don't know that I agree with it. The thought that our students who would go to another district, if they're required to play sports, and the kids would be okay with that, why is it okay in another district and not our own? That I don't understand that, and maybe that's just an assumption, but I'm going to be voting no to this proposal.
Mr. Baumgart?
Yeah, I just want to pick up on some of that. Also, the idea of the option thing, and the fact, as Amanda said, our kids are going to start, the secondary kids are going to start getting vaccinated. There would be some attractiveness to me if we would have options available when the kids are vaccinated. I would feel, not when they're sitting there. But if a kid has been vaccinated, that kid could say his option is he's going to stop wearing his mask. But if the kid has not been vaccinated yet, I am not comfortable with him saying, I'm not going to wear my mask anymore. I know that there's a lot of people here that are wearing their masks, or we don't think they should be. And I don't think that's a good message to the kids. But that's the world we're living in. But back to what I was saying, the optional part of it would be more attractive to me if we knew that the kids were being vaccinated and giving them that option. In fact, it might even encourage them to get vaccinated in those cases where there's an if.
Please.
I don't know what's funny about it, but maybe they just don't get it. But that's where I am. I guess I'm saying we're not quite there yet. And if we could go 18 and a half days leaving it alone, we would have an opportunity to really make the changes that people want to make.
Mr. Dietz?
I just want to thank the parents, the students, the staff, administration, for following the stringent COVID guidelines that we have put in place this year. It's my belief that those stringent strategies have gotten our numbers to the place that we want them to be, and also kept our numbers from spiking. So just to thank you for the cooperation that we've had, not only from those that I mentioned, but the community as well.
I think Mr. Montillo had his hand up next.
Yeah, thank you. Things change. This has evolved. The administration and I think every one of this board member said this is evolving. We change. I did say about a month or two ago that the chaos that results from maybe changing this could in fact be chaos. It may result in people pulling their students from school. We are 18 and a half days out. I am very hesitant to believe that that is going to happen in significant numbers. That makes me change my mind now that that is too much of a price to pay. Frankly, I think it's going to go both ways. If the masks stay on, there are going to be individuals who keep their kids and they're going virtual and they have had enough. So things change. Sussex Hamilton just dropped the masking requirement beginning of summer school. Palmyra Eagle dropped it effective May 24th. That's our former superintendent. Things change. If the argument is, okay, let's wait till summer school, there is no difference in the data that says why should we wait then, except we're going to make some more people possibly happier. If we don't do it now and we do it then, it's a distinction without a difference. I just don't see how we can do it. There was one individual, and I think it was Miss Keene, the volleyball player, who said, and I apologize if it wasn't her, said it's not about 18 and a half days. It's about 454 days, or whatever the number was. Was it? Okay. That's a big deal. The next 18 and a half days, it could be 18 and a half days of kindergartners getting to see the face of their teacher for the first time, getting to see their classmates' faces for the first time, getting to able to see, each other at graduation, maybe for the last time. There are sporting events, and one of the most interesting things I see in the Waukesha Freeman is pictures of our great student athletes going up for a dunk and their mask is doing this. They're doing the best they can, but they're students. This is getting to a point that we're not talking a perfect world scenario. It has gotten to a point that this is simply not working. And if we want to set good examples for our students and our public and our constituents, we have to be realistic about what's going on and realistic about what we need to do. So I continue to support it. That's just where I'm at.
Ms. Reincheck?
I was told that Oconomowoc School District has 200 to 300 kids opting out of masks every day for their exemptions. And I asked Dr. Cook today how many we have, and he said 5. And so then I looked at our what is it called? Yeah, it's our opt-out form, basically. And I then reached out to administration and also a coach in Oconomowoc asking what has been the difference? What has been the difference in athletics, and what have you seen as far as outbreaks or anything like that? Any bullying from kids not wearing it or kids wearing it? The athletic person said they've not done anything different from our communication they sent out over a month ago from the Classic 8 expectations. The athletes, for the most part, have been good. Obviously, being outside, they've been more relaxed, trying not to be the mask police. And then the administration said We presume a student without a mask has an exemption. If they go a day or two without one and the teacher notices that an exemption status has not been recorded in our system, they let me know. If a family wants to opt out, they just fill out the form, post it on our website, drop it off in the office, and we process it. It's pretty straightforward. I have personally not received any pushback from any community-based partners, whether it's employers hosting apprenticeships, community-based learning programs. I'm not sure where things are regarding athletic competitions, but I haven't heard anything. So I don't think it's as threatening as some people think it is.
Ms. Ratty?
Thank you. I have a few more follow-up thoughts and questions. A couple of other districts were mentioned and how they've dropped theirs. The Luxembourg Casco district just reversed their. They had dropped their mitigation. They had a spike, and a weekend or so, they came back in for a special session and reinstated. I don't know that any of us can really answer this as far as board members go, but how do we know that our mitigation steps haven't kept our numbers as low as they are? We can't. I don't know that we can say they have or they haven't. I understand these are your children. My children are right there next to yours. But when you put your children in the care of us, the district as a whole, I believe that you're expecting us to be as responsible as possible to mitigate as many of the risks. I know life has risk. I'm not denying that. But you're trusting us to keep these mitigation steps in place to keep these kids as safe as possible. Over and over and over, so many different parents have asked us for consistency. We're looking at just a short time to continue with this so that we can allow our students to have the special events that they so desire.
Dr. Piasek?
I'd just like to follow up on Mrs. Roddy's comment. I think it's important that the information about the district near Green Bay that reversed their decisions about COVID mitigations was because other schools in their athletic conference did not accept that. Within Waukesha, especially related to quarantines, the other schools in the county are in the same conference. And so in discussions with Dr. Cook, who's been working with the athletic directors who have communicated about quarantines, we are not considering that reversal because we are not in the same circumstances. It was not about cases spiking. It was about athletic eligibility within the conference that they were in because the other programs did not accept their mitigation, their changes in mitigation. That's different than the situation we have here in Waukesha.
Ms. Ranichek?
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up, which is why I reached out to WIAA and our athletic directors and tried to get a feel of what that looks like for us. The last thing I would want is for our athletes not to be able to play anyone, and that doesn't seem like that's the feel from the conversations that are happening.
Thought I saw a hand up over here. Maybe not. Peripheral vision sometimes works, sometimes doesn't work. Okay. Mr. McCaffrey?
I just have a quick comment. Not about the motion, because I think everybody understands my opinion on the matter and know how I vote, but I would like to acknowledge the principals in our district and the teachers in the schools who have implemented our votes as they have come down from hybrid to the quarantine policy to this. And I think that we have a great team that has implemented our will effectively. Regardless of the vote tonight, I think that we have a very professional team in the schools, and they're doing a fantastic job with our direction.
Ms. Ranichek?
Thank you. I forgot. I also wanted to thank you, Mr. Coble, for agendizing this because I asked you to bring that forward, so thank you. And I also wanted to thank all of our administration for trying your best and getting us this far. So thank you.
Ms. Ratty?
Yes, thank you. So if this does go forward, what's going to happen to our autoimmune compromised or immune compromised, students and families who have other needs like that, if this goes into effect immediately. I know it's kind of putting you folks on the spot, but if this takes place tomorrow, what are these families to do?
Well, I did mention.
Dr. Cook, I think you did.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier that if this is the direction that it goes, if it could start Monday, Tuesday of next week to allow our teachers, school nurses, student services staff to work with those families on any programming changes that would be required to meet the individual needs of the children that we are serving right now.
Just to clarify, you're saying that it's going to take some time because of all the IEPs. We just can't.
We wouldn't be able to do that by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Immediately.
No.
So it'll take some time.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Roddy?
Thank you. I apologize. I missed that.
Are you finished? Okay. Mrs. Reincheck?
Is there an amendment able to be made to change the date instead of effective immediately to be changed starting Monday, May 17th?
If you'd like to make that motion, you could.
Yes, I would like to make that motion.
Is there a second to that? Is there a second to that motion? Or that amendment, I should say. Okay, seeing none, does not move forward. I'd like to enter an amendment. I would like to also look at changing the date. I would say effective at the completion of the 2020-2021 school year. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Ms. Roddy. Discussion? Okay. Sue, will you take the roll call vote on amending it to effective at the completion of the 2020-2021 school year?
Corey Montiel.
Nay.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
No.
Karen Reinacek. Anthony Zenobia.
No.
Amanda Ratty.
Aye.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Kelly Piasek.
No.
Joseph Como.
Aye. It fails. There were 4
5.
yeas and 5 nays, so it fails. So we're back to the original motion that brings it back to effective immediately. Are comments or questions on the motion before us? Mr. Dietz?
Dr. Cook, how would you see this going forward then if it's effective tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock?
That would be based off of individual decisions. The number of families that I spoke with this past week, it wasn't 20, 30, it was a handful of families. Their concern was that we would have to meet, we would have to look at what accommodations are needed, what program supports are needed to help protect their child while in school. All of that would take a couple days to implement. So our IEP teams can turn things around relatively quickly and be in communication with parents, but by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, that would be impossible.
Dr. Piasek?
I think, at least I would expect that 100% of the student body doesn't show up tomorrow without masks on. I do expect that some students will continue to wear them and that those that feel very strongly about not wearing them would take advantage of that opportunity. With that, I would also just like to ask a question of Dr. Cook regarding student transportation. Are there any federal requirements on transportation that we need to take into consideration?
I would have to look into that. There was a school district that entertained taking the masks off on buses, but we heard from them that the federal transportation rules apply to busing because there's a different set of rules. So I would have to get firm confirmation on that, but students may still have to wear masks while on buses based off of the federal rules, because they are required on any mass transportation and public transportation in the country.
Maybe just for discussion with the board, the second sentence of the motion, is it necessary or potentially just redundant with the first sentence? If we say all other, or for all student, staff, and all other persons on SUW property, and then there's clarification about away functions, activities, athletics. I think we've discussed and agreed that if we're if we're involved in an activity outside of the school district and the expectation is that we're wearing masks, that would be the expectation. We cannot control what happens in another school, for example. I'm looking for some thoughts on that.
Or this says that we can.
Mr. Dietz?
That's what it says, yeah.
So our kids can wear masks or not when they go to another site, which is enforcing that. Which could cause a real mess.
Mr. McCaffrey?
I work a little bit with high school sports, and we play in different counties even, and we have to abide by that school's policies. We cannot make a policy for McClanago School District. So if the team that I coach goes to McClanago to play a match, which we will be doing next week, we are required to abide by their mitigation strategies, whatever they may be. And what they could do is they could just refuse to play, to refuse to seat our players. So that's why I brought up all away SDW functions. We have no authority in a different district. It's just like they have no authority in our district. So if we required masks and they didn't, they would have to abide by our policies in our district.
Mr. Zenobia?
Just to clarify that in the spirit of what was written here in the original motion I made, the away functions, activities, athletics was to cover the school district of Waukesha. Those students, as they go there, as they play, if another school district says, hey, you got to wear masks once you get here. Obviously, for the athletic program, I would fully support that decision. That's not what this is. That's not what the spirit of this is trying to say. With busing, I'm sure there's some instances where kids wouldn't. If there's a federal guideline that says they absolutely must, I think we could revisit that. But while they're in their cars, while they're walking to school, while they're approaching, while they're leaving, that's what this is to cover. District of Waukesha and everything that entails. That better? I'm all open to that. But I'm not trying to dictate to other schools what should be their policies. This is just our policy.
Ms. Reinacek?
I would like to amend the motion to strike the word away.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Piasek. Discussion? Yes, Karen.
Thank you. That's basically what I heard from the athletic directors and WIAA, that each school has their own set of policies and that's what would exactly have to happen. So this covers that.
Mr. Montiel?
Yeah, result of good public policy. We look at it, we discuss it, fix it, done, in my opinion.
Other discussion on the amendment to remove the word away from the current motion? Okay, Sue, please take the roll call vote.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Corey Montiel.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Kelly Piasek.
Aye.
William Baumgart. Anthony Zenobia.
Aye.
Amanda Ratty.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0, Sue. So now the printed motion, all the text in front of you is correct, with the exception of removing the word away. I know we probably have all little notes all over it, but just to be clear that that's where we're at right now. So where we are at right now, masks are no longer mandatory but optional for all students, staff, and all other persons on all SDW property. This applies to all SDW functions, activities, athletics, and all modes of student transportation, effective immediately. And we're clear that that's where we're at? Okay. Further discussion, further amendments? Ms. Roddy?
I believe I know this to be the case, but just to clarify, because we're clarifying everything today, we don't instruct the students to wear masks when they're walking to school or when they're in their cars. or when they're not on our property, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Okay, so now I'm going to say this, I'm going to say this very carefully, so please hear me. I'm not down on sports at all, but from the conversation that we've just had, we're very okay with wearing masks where they're required when it comes to sports, but not when we're sitting in our classrooms and adhering to that space for the well-being of. Am I misunderstanding, or am I hearing that wrong?
Mr. Montiel?
No, I think you're hearing it correctly. The difference is a big distinction, though. It's compulsory for them to be in school. If they want to choose to be in athletics, they have to follow the rules. So if I look at that and say, well, no, state law is we force kids to come to school. They have to get a public education, otherwise they can opt out. But it's not a disconnect. We are saying if these students choose to play sports and they choose to go on events that are off school property, that they will have to, if they want to make those games, like Mr. McCaffrey said, put a mask on. It's an option. It's not forcing them to do anything, is my understanding.
Mr. Dietz?
Dr. Cook, who would enforce that for sporting events?
If we went to another, there would be the visiting team or the home team's responsibility to enforce their policies. So if for instance, the track team was going to Jefferson High School for a track meet, and Jefferson High School required masks for the duration of the competition, then our track team would be obligated to follow that while in Jefferson.
And if they don't?
That school could prohibit us from competing against them.
I imagine that's going to happen.
That would be site dependent. We looked at our list of activities between now and the end of the year, and with 3 high schools competing, there's a ton of activities on there. It could happen from time to time, but I don't know if it will. We benefit this timing of the year because most of the competitions are outdoors.
Mr. Bungard?
Joe, similar question. They would be going to a different district for an athletic event. We talked about wearing a mask if that's what they're requiring. But what about the other thing that we passed on, quarantining? If they are sitting with a 7-day quarantining in a Dane County someplace, and we don't have quarantining anymore, is that athletic event possibly in danger?
It could be. I can't say that it would happen, but it could happen. That was the Dr. Piasek's example of the Luxembourg Casco School District. They voted to rid themselves of any mitigation strategies, and their conference schools said that's not acceptable to us. You won't be able to compete with us, and therefore they went back, and the board went back and implemented those until the end of the school year. I can't, because Waukesha, the Classic 8, Waukesha County is on the same page with these strategies, at least as the quarantine discussion was, that would not have been a barrier around quarantine. I don't know if masking has a different impact on that. I can't provide an opinion on that or not. It's just.
But most other counties didn't adopt that thing that our county, I'm back on quarantining.
Correct. Waukesha County was unique at the time that they passed that or shared that guidance to us. They were unique with that guidance, yes.
So we have a big if there.
I can't speak to what's going to happen outside, yep. I could add, though, if I could, I just looked up that the transportation is governed by the federal order, so the busing would be governed by the federal order, so the order as it stands would be trumped by the federal transportation order that says you have to wear a mask on public transportation. So school buses would fall under that category.
Mr. McCaffrey?
Just some comments. First of all, the coach manages the team. So if we went to a different school district and that school, the coach said to me, the kids have to wear masks, that would be my responsibility to make sure they wear their masks. So that's who manages it, the coaches.
Doesn't mean it'll happen, but.
No, it doesn't mean it happened, but and I'll give you an example about mitigation strategies for tennis. The home team is the only one that can flip the cards. They don't want the away team flipping the cards. So I tell my kids, don't touch the cards. In a lot of districts, each team has their own tennis balls. You're not allowed to touch the other team's tennis balls. You have your own tennis balls, you use those, and then they're back. So I have a lot of experience with mitigation strategies in the sports, haven't run into any problems, and have been doing it the entire time. So with the WIA stuff, all the championships have been moved out of Dane County. Didn't have any. The tennis was actually up at Kohler because they had the facilities. Basketball was moved around. Skiing was moved around. So the WIA championships, as of now, they do not compete for state championships in Dane County like they used to. So it's not an issue. The WIA has moved the stuff around so that the kids can finish out their season and compete for state championships. And I'll tell you, for the girls' tennis, which I coach, the WIA rule was you wore a mask when you played. And all our girls wore masks when they played, as difficult as it was. So that was one of the requirements in Kohler to compete. And if you didn't want to wear the mask, you didn't compete.
Ms. Reincheck?
Thank you. In the conversations with the athletics people, I said, what would that look like for you when games are coming up, when matches are coming up? And they said that the close-knit groups that we play, we are more than halfway through the season, and we have about 40 contests, including schools outside our county. They just take it on a week-to-week basis. They call and ask if they still want to play. Basically, with the quarantine, South Milwaukee had an issue with it, and they did have to talk to a parent that had a problem with it. After they talked to them, they ended up deciding, the parent was like, fine, and they got to play. So they would actually just have to check and make sure that each one is fine with us playing. So I would just like to call a vote.
We'll call to question.
Yes, please.
Okay, Sue, do we need to take a vote on call to question? I don't remember if it's a majority, a call to
You
question.
need a second to call the question.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. McCaffrey. Is there discussion on call to question? Sorry.
This, right?
On the current, yeah. I didn't know if call to question required a majority decision or not.
Call the question.
Yeah. Call for the previous question, requires a second, and it requires a 2/3 vote. To end the discussion, yes.
Right.
Okay, so there's no discussion on that, but Sue, would you please take the roll call vote as to whether or not we should end the discussion and vote on the amendment that is in front of us?
Anthony Zenobia.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Amanda Ratty.
No.
William Baumgart. Kelly Piasek.
Aye.
Corey Montiel.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek. Joseph Como.
No, it passes 7-2. So we will call to question the motion that is on the table. Sue, will you please read that motion back to us?
So the full motion after the amendment is masks are no longer mandatory but optional for all students, staff, and all other persons on all SDW property. This applies to all SDW functions, activities, athletics, and all modes of student transportation effective immediately.
Will you please take the roll call vote, Sue?
William Baumgart.
No.
Anthony Zenobia.
Aye.
Amanda Ratty.
No.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Greg Dietz.
No.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Kelly Piasek.
Aye.
Corey Montiel.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
No, passes 5-4. Please, Let's restore order, please. Let's restore order. Appreciate it. I'd like to thank everybody who has emailed us, everybody who has called us, everybody that we bump into in the grocery store. As a board, it's an awesome responsibility to try and listen to 90,000 people. No, not every one of the 90,000 people reached out to us on this, but it is a very difficult thing to listen and try and process the tremendous amount of input that we receive from our constituents. And like I had started earlier in this meeting, like I had previously said, I believe that this is a strong community. People care. We care about our students. We want the best education we can provide, possibly moving forward. Just sometimes issues, there are multiple facets to them, and there's not always just a clear direction. So I appreciate everybody conducting themselves in an orderly process tonight, and we will move forward with this effective immediately. Moving on. Dr. Piasek?
I'd like to make a motion to turn the bubblers back on and to allow field trips. I'll repeat it. I'd like to make a motion
That's a valid motion.
to turn the bubblers back on and to reinstate field trips.
Hold on. That is a valid motion. That is part of our mitigation processes or efforts, correct, Dr. Cook and
Correct.
Dr. Siebert? Okay, that is a real, sorry, is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Baumgart. Discussion? Yes, Dr.
Move to
Piasek.
call the question.
Pardon?
Call the question.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, let's take a vote on calling that to question. Sue?
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Kelly Piasek.
Aye.
William Baumgart. Corey Montiel.
Aye.
Anthony Zenobia.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Greg Dietz. Joseph Como.
Aye, passes 9-0. So Sue, let's,
Could you repeat
yeah,
the motion?
To turn the bubblers back on and reinstate field trips.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Kelly Piasek. Pardon? But I thought that was for the call the
Yeah, sorry,
question
go ahead.
vote,
Go ahead. Sorry.
right?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right,
It
so
was-
this is
Sorry.
for the
Yes.
motion now.
The motion.
yes.
I'm tired.
Yes.
Thank you.
Kelly
Aye.
Piasek. Corey Montiel.
Aye.
Anthony Zenobia.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Greg Dietz. William Baumgart. Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye, passes 9-0. I should ask if there are any other amendments. And Dr. Piasek?
I'd like to make a motion that there be no restrictions of students playing together at recess.
Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Montiel.
I'm sorry, Ms. Reinacek got it first.
Second by Mrs. Reincheck. Discussion? Ms. Roddy?
I have a question with regards to this. What schools are doing that? Question to my
Please.
colleagues. What schools are separating? Because I've asked in my children's, they play with their grade, but no other grades on the playground.
I can start that and then Dr. Cook can fill in. We were having circumstances where when kids were playing together outside earlier in the year when they weren't wearing masks and then we would have a positive case, we were running into situations because they were playing, we were quarantining, for example, both second grade classrooms in a particular school because they were playing together. So we made some recommendations that they play in their separate groups so that if we did have cases, that we could simply quarantine one class versus both of them. Is that accurate, Dr. Cook?
That's accurate, yes.
Mr. Baumgart?
My understanding that this would be a universal separation. I mean, I can understand the separation maybe not being appropriate if it's related to COVID, but what if you've got a group of kids that just shouldn't be together for discipline purposes or something? I can't see not allowing some latitude for managing a group of kids at recess. And that seems to be a too universal an approach.
That's a very good point, Mr. Baumgart, and I should have clarified that I was addressing the COVID mitigation. I can't amend my own motion, but someone else could.
I will move to amend your motion to restrict, to only allow.
How
we
about,
could.
with respect to, I'm going to toss something out, just for consideration, with respect to COVID restrictions, comma, then the rest of it.
Or there shall be no COVID restrictions.
Well, she just
Well, you got it.
I like that one.
And
Who was the second?
it's friendly, but why don't we make it formal? Let's still make it formal. Is that, do you move that?
I do.
Can you repeat that, please?
Maybe. The original motion was what? I'm sorry again?
No restrictions of students playing together at recess.
No COVID-based restrictions for students playing together at recess.
Overcomplicating an easy
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
I think we got the intention here. Is there a second to that? Second by Ms. Ryanchek? Second by Mr. Zenobia.
Some cases we have some.
Further discussion? I'm going to wait for Sue to read the amended motion, or the amendment.
To change it to no COVID-based restrictions of students at recess, students playing together at recess.
Okay, so we're just voting on the amendment itself right now. Sue, please take the roll call vote.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Anthony Zenobia.
Aye.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Greg Dietz. Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Kelly Piasek.
Aye.
Corey Montiel.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye, passes 8-1, the amendment. Now we are back to the original motion as amended. Further questions on where we're at there? Otherwise, Sue, will you please take the roll call vote?
Kelly Piasek.
Aye.
Corey Montiel.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Greg Dietz. Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek. Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Anthony Zenobia.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye, passes 8-1. Any further motions to be made on mitigation efforts for the 2020-2021 school year and/or summer school? Dr. Piasek?
I have one more. I'd like to move that principals have full discretion over changing COVID mitigations related to use of barriers, surface cleaning, quarantining of books, and personal items.
Could you say that one more time? I think, Sue, you didn't get that all right. I could see how fast you're writing, but
I'd like to move that principals have full discretion over removing COVID mitigations, adjusting COVID mitigations related to physical barriers, cleaning, and quarantining of library books and personal items.
is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Zenobia. Discussion? Mr. Dietz?
They would have.
Nope, we're not getting everybody. Ask again, Greg.
Dr. Piasek, does that mean that every principal would have the latitude to make their own decisions?
That's correct. The way I see it, if they wanted to remove the barriers or not to quarantine the library books, they could do that, yes.
Mr. Montillo, I thought your hand went up. No. It didn't? Okay, sorry. Just trying to be safe here. Okay, any further discussion on this? Sue, will you please read back the motion and let's make sure we have it accurate?
Can I have Dr. Piasek read that again?
Sure.
Rather than, I'm not sure I've got all of the words just as
Are you
had it.
comfortable doing that, Dr. Piasek?
I think I can remember it. Yeah.
Okay.
Supposed to have full discretion over.
Principals have full discretion over modifying mitigation, COVID mitigations related to physical barriers, quarantining of library books, and personal items.
Is there any question on that? Okay, Sue, please take the roll call vote on that.
Cory Montiel.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
No.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Anthony Zenobia.
Aye.
Amanda Roddy.
No.
Greg Dietz.
No.
Kelly Piasek.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
No. Passes 5-4. Ms. Reincheck?
I have a question. Do we have any limits on any other events or scheduled things besides graduation?
What kind of limits are you?
I think we only had 2 allowed per graduation that would sit 6 feet apart in the bleachers last year.
Oh, you're talking about people who can attend?
Yes.
Dr. Siebert or Dr. Cook?
The principals have put together a plan that is unlimited participation outdoors, masks optional. Indoors would be 2 guests per student for an indoor ceremony if the weather required it.
Okay, can you think of any other instances where they are limited as far as parents,
I can't think of any other activities off the top of my head. Graduation and prom were the 2 that we did our planning around together.
Is there any limitations for prom for anything? Pictures?
Prom was going to be, if I remember correctly, students only, and it was going to be at the home high schools, and masks were required at prom. So,
In the past, did we have parents coming in to take pictures, or why would it be students only?
I don't know if we had parents in during a grand march. I can only speak to the other school districts I worked in.
Okay. I would like to make an amendment.
There isn't a motion on the floor? Okay. Go ahead, Mrs. Reincheck.
To end any limits for graduation, concerts, any type of school events, athletics, I guess I'll just say school events, and any type of limit due to COVID for school events.
Is there a second to that? Second by Mr. Montiel.
Yes.
Mr. Montiel?
Ms. Reinacek, are you talking attendance limits?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying. And attendance limits for school events related, and event limits due to COVID at school events.
Okay, attendance? Would you, let's make sure we understand the motion. Please repeat it again, Mrs.
I'd like
Reinacek.
to make a motion to end attendance limits due to COVID at all school events.
Okay. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Mr. Dietz.
So would that prevent someone with COVID from coming to a school event? That says no. That's what you said. So if I have COVID, I can come to school events.
Can I ask a question? Thank you. Would our anything that's left in our current mitigation strategies cover that?
Individuals who are COVID positive are required to stay home. They're considered to be isolated. And there are guidelines that talk about too sick for school. So if somebody were not well enough to come to school, that would also be enforceable at an event, but that would apply to students adults who are COVID positive would have their own direction from their medical provider from the county.
Mr. Dietz?
Dr. Cook, is it true that students have come to school positive without them notifying the school in advance?
That has happened.
So they could come to a school event without notifying the school and infect people?
If it slips through the system and we're not aware of it, they could.
Mr. Zenobia?
Yeah, my question to that point would be, how would we know in past graduations, parents coming, anyone coming to see a graduation, how would we know they were sick? Even before COVID, whether they had COVID, the flu. I mean, I understand we're in a different world here with COVID, but we wouldn't have known if someone had come to a big event like graduation in the past and were sick. Probably done it unintentionally. Maybe there's a few. But how would we have checked for that in the past? How would we check for it now?
Yeah.
What's
Dr. Siebert or Dr. Cook, would you?
I mean, COVID, we have the ability to see which students are COVID positive, should we get that notification in a timely manner. So when the tests come back, we can look that up ourselves. We don't have to wait on family notification. We have that access. For an individual, a parent, a grandparent, aunt, uncle, cousin, who's not in our school system, it's an honor system then. And it has been, this whole year, it has been an honor system, and we had reports after last year's graduation that I know so-and-so was at your graduation and they were COVID positive. Those reports came into us after we ran graduations last summer, so it could happen.
Mr. Montiel?
Yeah, 2 points. It could happen. It probably has happened, but regardless, our numbers are still down. Everything else is trending downwards. So for me, that's not a large concern because despite that, probably statistically happening, it hasn't resulted in much, if any, problems. I also want to reflect back on my first graduation as a board member. I was sitting on the dais, or whatever you call it, at Waukesha North, and we had our students somewhat socially distanced. We had two parents or two guardians up there, which was interesting for children whose parents were divorced. Both parents would sit there and have to sit next to each other. And then you look in the north side of the playing field at North, and there's a chain link fence, and it was lined with grandparents, shoulder to shoulder. Some of the most vulnerable people under, the COVID at that point, and they just want to see their kids graduate. So it's in the big picture, it's a small thing, but in any picture, it's an important thing. So I think it's important to not restrict it.
Mrs. Zenobia?
I would just say, given the last year of what everybody has been through, people, I would think, would be much more mindful coming to any event, large event of any kind, especially to see grandkids graduate, will be mindful of self-governance, would take care of any.
We weren't hearing everything there. Make sure the mic is on.
I don't know where you lost me. Sorry. I was just saying, people are going to self-govern. After the year that we've had with COVID, parents and grandparents are more mindful of, am I sick? Am I COVID positive? Should I go? That is going to be a greater governance over people coming to these events than anything that we could do to try to catch them. Just a comment.
Okay. Mr. Montiel?
And I think about 55% of the population in this county is already vaccinated, roughly. So it's a different landscape than it was. I think it's 55. It's something like that. The vaccination rate is high. When last year graduation, there was 0. So that's all.
Further discussion on this motion? Okay, Sue, will you please reread the motion? Okay, please take the roll call. Everyone clear on the motion? Okay, please take the roll call vote.
No.
Aye.
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 No. Aye.
No.
No, passes 5-4. Any further motions to bring forth this evening? Mr. Zenobia?
I don't know if I have a motion, it's more of a question, but going back to the masks, I know that face coverings are mandatory as all over, everywhere. Always in the literature and the guidelines, what do we need to do as an operational staff to let people know that face coverings are now optional? Does that need to be a motion to all that changed, or to put a sticker on it, or
No, it's
that an operational thing that will just
yeah.
be
So
done?
administration will take all of these motions that we have made tonight, and we'll make sure that they're communicating all the changes that happen at the board meeting tonight, and essentially they are all effective immediately. So they will do their very best to get this communicated ASAP.
Excellent.
Dr.
Thank you.
Siebert, anything to add to that? Okay. All right. Dr. Piasek?
One more, but you're going to like this one. I'd like to move that further decisions related to COVID mitigations for summer school programming in the month of August and the 2021-2022 school year be assigned to the School Operations Committee, whose recommendations will be subject to board approval during the June and/or July board meetings.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay. Mr. Zenobia?
Second that.
Oh, Mr. Baumgart
I'm
did
sorry.
already.
Okay.
So let's just make sure we have that. There was a lot there.
It's actually written on the motion that was prepared for us.
Yeah. This first one?
Okay, fair enough. Discussion, and that's essentially what we have. I mean, essentially, the motion that's on the table is, we had something similar where we had the reopening committee back in the earlier part of the year, and they would bring forth recommendations to the board. And so essentially, we would be paralleling that. Dr. Piasek, is that essentially, it's a different committee, but it's basically in the same spirit.
With anything that we haven't already voted on tonight.
Correct. Ms. Roddy?
With regards to this, I'm not recommending any changes to it, but just recommend something to keep in mind to this committee, to please reach out to the families that have already signed up so that they know what's happening along the way as you deliberate whatever changes or procedures that you have. Because right now, they've signed up with an understanding in mind of the current mitigation practices. Is that clear? Yes?
It's not a motion change, but
It's
you're
not. It's
just making
I'm-
a suggestion.
Correct. Just to keep that in mind as you.
Making a suggestion to
Continue.
the school operations committee.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Montijo?
I just want to make sure I understand. The motions that passed tonight have no sunset provision. They don't have an end date. So I think your motion is to assign further discussion to that committee and make recommendations to the board, and then that's subject to board approval. That's it.
Correct.
Okay, that's fine.
There are things we didn't discuss tonight, like testing protocols and things
Sure.
like that.
Sure. Thank you.
Ms. Reinachek?
Thank you. I have a question. How many students do we have per class in summer school, usually, roughly?
Dr. Cook or Dr. Siebert? Or maybe...
It depends on the section between elementary schools. Some could be the size of current class sizes, 20 students. Some of our high school courses might see more.
Okay, Mr. Dietz?
Would someone from administration be able to answer my question about how do you prepare for staffing now with the uncertainty of kids coming or not? How do you do that?
Well,
Financially responsible.
I mean, we have looked at the enrollments for summer school up to this point and are planning the hiring. Amy Riebel is actively seeking staff out for those positions. If that changes, then we don't have the need for as many teachers. Or if we don't have as many teachers, we may not have as many sections. I mean, it's just, it's going to be, a lot is going to be dependent. One will impact the other. Students will impact the number of staff.
So do summer school teachers sign a contract?
They do.
Yeah.
So they could sign a contract and they could be paid for having maybe no students in their class.
I'd have to wait for Mrs. Thiede to come back to weigh in on what's in that contract, because there could be the option of reduction in force if we don't have the student demand.
Yeah, and then the other thing I'm not sure on that is, Karen is the person to answer this, but I'm not sure they're given a dollar contract and a salary contract. I think they're paid the hourly rate in summer school, so it'd be interesting, they have some sort of written agreement, but if you don't work and you're paid hourly, I'm not sure what the protocol is on that. And just to provide some scale on the summer school issue, because Dr. Siebert asked me to run some numbers. If we lose 25% or gain 25% in summer school, because it's hard to predict behavior, it's a $75,000 swing either way, just to provide you some measure of the potential fiscal impact of 25%. I just grabbed a percentage. I have no idea.
All right. Sue, would you please read the motion that is on the table? Oh, Sue, can you put your mic on?
Motion is further decisions as they relate to summer school programming in the month of August and the 2021-2022 school year shall be assigned to the School Operations Committee, whose recommendations will be subject to board approval during the June and/or July board meetings.
Okay, please take the roll call vote, Sue.
Anthony Zenobia.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Greg Dietz.
No.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
William Baumgart. Kelly Piasek.
Aye.
Corey Montiel.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye, passes 8-1. I'll ask the question one more time, maybe multiple times, I don't know. Any other motions to come forth on this topic? I can't, my crystal ball doesn't work too well, I guess, on that, so. Okay, thank you, everyone. We will be moving on to our consent agenda, but before we do, I'm just gonna ask my fellow board members if you would like to have a 5-minute recess. Okay, we'll recess for 5 minutes, and then we'll pick the meeting back up. No. We're just not live yet, Bill. We're going to give him another minute here.